King Sejong praised Suyang. I heard that you cured the back of a man named Wu Zhang through conducting oneself and preparing the body not long ago. The fact that you were able to successfully treat Sogol, a condition that even stumped physicians, truly fills me with pride. Suyang bowed his head respectfully. Your grace is immeasurable, Your Majesty. He was about to get rewarded for his efforts. The king continued, the projection of conducting oneself and preparing the body is good, so I am going to give you a task. Before you depart to the Ming Empire as our envoy, is it possible for you to pay a visit to the chief state counselor, Huang Hui, who requested his resignation last month? The king explained the situation. He said he was asking for his resignation because of his hunched back and dim eyes. We can't do anything about it if it's irreversible. The king finished his request. But I'd like you to take a look at the chief state counselor regardless. Meanwhile, Suyang arrived at the chief state counselor's residence, where a servant spotted him and shouted, Huh? Isn't this His Highness the Grand Prince? Hurry, come! Suyang arrived at the chief state counselor's residence, but something felt off. Huh? The atmosphere is strange though, frail voice spoke from inside. I would like to apologize for having to lie down even when an esteemed guest like His Highness has come. The chief state counselor, Huang Hui, was 79 years old. That's what he is saying. Huang Hui continued, I would like to serve His Majesty as he orders, but ever since I reached the age of 70, my back started to hunch and limbs deteriorated, so I had no other choice. Suyang frowned, unsure how to proceed. That's what he is saying. His Majesty has ordered me to care for your body, but seeing that you are having such a hard time, I don't know what to do either. Suyang sighed internally. A royal order is a royal order, and you must know about your body the best. Huang Hui chuckled weakly. Then, you won't be able to play Go comfortably even with such a high-quality Go board. Suyang smiled slyly. It seems like a good idea to let Sir Ming-chung use this beautiful Go board. Suyang's expression suddenly shifted. He placed his hand on the Go board. The Go board is warm. Suyang realized it's as if someone was just playing Go just a while ago. Huang Hui sighed. All I can say is that it's impossible to restore your body's aging with my power. Suyang smiled, ever the picture of health and vitality. However, I'd like to tell you about a way that helps in taking care of the body, rather than curing it. Huang Hui chuckled, a weak sound in the room. Ho ho ho. To think you'd put such efforts for this old man. I feel apologetic that my body isn't following. Huang Hui bowed slightly. Ho ho. I'm ashamed to meet His Majesty, but I'd use this exercise method to keep my body fit. That is what he is saying. Suyang maintained his polite smile. I too hope that the chief state counselor can recover his health. Suyang watched the sleeping Huang Hui for a moment longer. Suyang offered some final advice. It is a good idea to keep the room warm to protect the body, but anything too much will become poison. Suyang frowned slightly, noticing the unusual warmth. I was wondering why the room was so hot that even the Go board was warm. He glanced at the sleeping Huang Hui, noting the lingering signs of activity. As if someone was playing Go just up until a while ago. Suyang, ever the picture of politeness, turned to leave. Then, I shall be taking my leave. Crown Prince reflected on the chief state counselor's condition. The chief state counselor isn't in a critical condition, but as he is already very old, it is difficult to cure him with conducting oneself and preparing the body. He sighed, lamenting the missed opportunity. It wouldn't have been this bad had we stepped in just 10 years earlier. How really unfortunate. The Crown Prince continued to mull over the situation. Had he started conducting oneself and preparing the body early, he could have participated in government affairs for another 10 years. Suyang frowned, thinking back. Chief State Counselor, I was thinking about a policy that could dramatically increase grain production. Years ago, Chief State Counselor Huang Hui, aged 69, I should have discussed more things with him when he had the energy. He continued to lament the situation. How good would it have been if he had learned conducting oneself and preparing the body from a young age? Is this what they call better to cultivate the young 100 years early? Just then, the Crown Prince spoke up. But how did it go with your disciples? Suyang smiled, thinking of his trainees. I've gathered good disciples, and they're slowly showing their results. The Crown Prince continued, not long ago, you met Kim Jong, SCO of the northern area, right? It'd be good to think about a way to strengthen the soldiers of the north too. Suyang replied, I understand, Your Majesty. The Crown Prince shifted the topic. How is the preparation for going to the Ming Empire as an envoy? Are you going to Hunan after stopping by Beijing? Suyang confirmed, that's right. Crown Prince listened intently. I heard that you plan to tour the Nanjing area and then take a boat back to Hangzhou. It seems like you have a goal of crossing half of Ming. Suyang confirmed, one of my goals is livestock. He then thought to himself that the pigs of this era are frankly mini pigs. Suyang continued, if I bring pigs from the Ming Empire, people will be able to consume protein regardless of their status. In China, meat always means pork. The pigs of the Ming Empire are certainly a breed that's easy to raise and gain weight. He knew that it's not enough if he's just trying to look for livestock. He must have another goal. Suyang thought that, As per the king's perspective, he'd be away from his son for about 1 year, so he thought he'd be easy to convince. But was he mistaken? He continued, the Ming Empire has a vast land and a large number of people, so I'd like to grow countless grains and vegetables. With that, Suyang added, he'd like to stop by Nanjing to pick up some books as well. The king replied, books, you say? Nanjing is a capital that has been passed down for generations from the southern Song dynasty, so there are probably many rare books. Suyang asked him if he thought the chief eunuch of the Ministry of Rites who selected him would help him on his journey, and then answered his own question. I do. He explained that Wang Jin is already someone who enjoys power to the extent that he is called father by the ministers. Suyang explained that if it is an offer is harmful to the country, he will reject it, but if it is beneficial, he will gladly assist in our journey. The king warned, I haven't met him before, but he is a man of evil reputation. Be careful. Suyang replied, yes, your majesty. The king then inquired, right, come to think of it, my granddaughter Ju Hyun was born not too long ago, right? Have you talked with your family members? Suyang confirmed, yes, of course. The waves lapped against the pier. Suyang turned to his wife and said, then I'll be back, my wife. Suyang's son tugged at his robes, calling out, father, father. His wife looked stern. Even if it's a national affair, how could it take 1 year? How could you not even attend your daughter's daljabi? The others will hear, my wife. Suyang chuckled, His Majesty is too harsh too. Oh ho, people are staring, aren't they? He reassured her, don't worry about your family. I'm going to take care of them. Suyang smiled at his brothers. Thank you, brothers. I look forward to seeing you when I get back. One of them grinned. You brat, are you planning to exploit me too, taking after the second deputy commander? Suyang laughed. Haha, of course not. One of Suyang's brothers mentioned, by the way, I heard you got your first vacation in 15 years. The man grinned, overjoyed. It is all thanks to His Highness for bringing the subject to His Majesty. Kiki. Meanwhile, back at the training grounds, one of Suyang's disciples showed off his gains. Father, look at this. This is too light for me now. The disciple beamed. Suyang hoisted the boy into the air. Right, you brat. Let's do some bench presses together once I come back. Suyang smiled, gazing towards the horizon. Suyang stood alongside the king, who was curious about his plans. From conducting oneself and preparing the body to new livestock, books, and even grains. I'm curious about what's going on in your head now. Suyang looked off into the distance. I only have a small wish. He envisioned the future of Joseon. I want to make this land, Joseon, where our people live, prosperous and strong, Suyang declared with fiery determination, so that no one can take it lightly. Suyang was on a ship, heading to the Ming Empire. Unfortunately, the cold wind was already taking its toll. How odd. Normally, the bigger your physique, the harder it is to catch a cold. I breathed in too much cold wind. Interpreter felt responsible for his condition. I am sorry for not being strong enough. The interpreter continued to apologize. For our interpreter to be coughing like this. I have no excuse, Your Highness. Suyang had other plans for the man. I think I should use this opportunity to make him exercise properly, and become healthy. Shin-suk Ju Hall of Worthy's Deputy Assistant Scribe Junior 6th rank. The ship sailed on. Suyang gazed out at the horizon, his mind already planning his next moves in the Ming Empire. Land ahoy! Finally, the ship had reached its destination. Suyang turned to his entourage. The soap isn't moldy or damaged, right? Hall of Worthy's Scholar Igi, standing next to Pak Gang, assured him. We just checked, and they are all fine, Your Highness. The dry weather rather makes it better to use, Your Highness. Escort warrior Nam Bin stood nearby, ready to defend Suyang. Suyang was satisfied with their preparations. Good. Suyang, arriving in the Ming Empire, thought to himself, they say that the Ming Empire is the center of the world. He was determined to verify with his own eyes whether this was true or not. The envoy approached the towering walls of the imperial city. Group gazed up in awe at the massive gate before them. Suyang, comparing it to Hanyang, which was relocated less than 50 years ago, thought the gap was enormous, musing that he couldn't believe this was built by humans, and that it was like they were looking at the Baekdudaegan mountain range, the height of which could not be measured. Nearby, eunuch Changxing smirked, thinking to himself, these country bumpkins. Suyang's envoy inquired, when can we have an audience with His Majesty? Oh ho. The official replied, he is not someone with whom just anyone can have an audience. Only Grand Prince Suyang will receive an audience with His Majesty the Emperor. The official added, and about the date. He continued, it should take about 40 days. The envoy was shocked. 40 days? The official responded, that's right. By the way, are those the tributes you brought? Is there a problem? Another official chimed in, I tried using the soap some time ago, and it was quite effective. Suyang smiled, pleased with the reception of his product. Even though it's still lacking, I'm glad you like our product. He then added, since the existing soap was not fragrant enough, I brought a specially improved product this time. The official wondered, improved product? Doesn't that mean you won't have enough? Suyang replied, we prepared 2,000 gun and brought some extra. Would you like to take a look? The official leaned in, inhaling deeply. The scent of flowers and ginseng is faintly present. Did you say you've brought 2,000 gun of this? The official smiled, taking the soap. It's great to see a not-so-well-off country set such a great example like this. Another official watched Suyang intently, thinking to himself, I heard that the second son of the Joseon king has the appearance of a brave general. The official looked at Suyang with admiration. Now that I see it, your wide-open shoulders and magnificent arms are just like the Varaka. Startled by the sudden praise, Suyang's aide could only respond, Sir. The official continued, What's it about that? The aide, confused by the comparison, wondered, Does that make any sense? Meanwhile, Suyang kneeled before the emperor, from the vassal country of Joseon. This lowly one, EU, greets you, your majesty. Suyang kneeled before the Ming emperor, head bowed low. The world is at peace thanks to your immeasurable grace, and everything is singing your praise. My mouth hurts just from saying my greetings. The Ming emperor, Ingzong, responded, I heard that Idu, the king of Joseon, had several outstanding sons. Ingzong held out his hand, examining it closely. The other day, when eunuch Changxing brought me the soap, all of the dirt on my body disappeared. The fact that you were the one who created this surprised me even more. He continued, It must have been hard to bring 2,000 gun of soap here. Let us discuss the future trade of soap in another place. Your grace is immeasurable. The officials behind Suyang exchanged uneasy glances. The emperor dismissed Suyang. Then you may take your leave. Suyang bowed. Yes, your majesty. He felt the strange atmosphere. Suyang was taken aback by the sudden hostility. What's going on? One of the men sneered, seeing those urine-stinking bastards hanging out with the parasitic Joseon bumpkins. It truly makes me sick. Suyang was confused by the animosity. What's with this hostility? One of the men declared, You are finally here. Another added, We've been waiting for you. The lead official bowed deeply. It's my great honor to meet you. Thanks to your kindness, I met His Majesty the Emperor in just 10 days. The official smiled, clearly pleased with himself. It's truly our greatest blessing. Does that mean you know who this person is? Another official chimed in. According to a rumor we received, there was a magnanimous gentleman from the Ministry of Rights, and the subjects referred to him as Elder. Wang Jin peered from behind his fan, a hint of amusement in his eyes. I have heard many stories that the second son of the king of Joseon possesses a strong build, but it looks like he was also one with great intelligence. One of the officials held up a bar of soap. Thanks to the soap made in Joseon, I feel refreshed every day. In particular, I couldn't help but be impressed by the quality of the soap you brought this time. Suyang leaned forward, ready to negotiate. Tell me the price you want. It depends on the ingredients. The price was steep. One soap bar containing ginseng is worth 10 bags of rice. Scented soaps are a little cheaper and cost 6 bags of rice per piece. Suyang calculated the cost. That means it would be about 1 silver tael for 1 gun. I see. He then asked, In that case, how much does the manufacturing method cost? One of the officials was shocked at the question. How shameless! Was acquiring 2,000 gun worth of soap not enough? Is he planning to steal the recipe as well? Suyang explained the ingredients. The soaps are made using the kelp from Hamgil Island. Wang Jin chuckled behind his fan. To think you would tell me that easily. Isn't it Joseon's major export item? Suyang maintained his composure. As a member of a vassal country, I am just doing my best to keep my manners. Still, to think it would be kelp. After the sea ban, the yield is practically non-existent. Wang Jin sighed. Sea ban policy, Ming's trade policy. It's a shame, but please keep making the soap bars in Joseon. Wang Jin, holding his fan, asked if it was possible to increase the amount of soap and bring in as much scented soap as possible. Suyang asked how much he wanted. Wang Jin responded with a demand for 10,000 gun. Suyang then requested that the new soaps maintain the same quality, and to slowly increase the quantity as circumstances allowed. Wang Jin needed to know who he was dealing with, so Suyang revealed that he was the Joseon king's second son, Yu. Wang Jin introduced himself as Wang Jin, Ministry of Rights Chief Eunuch. Wang Jin, the Ministry of Rights Chief Eunuch, made sure to introduce himself. My name is Wang Jin, Ministry of Rights Chief Eunuch Wang Jin. Wang Jin expressed his satisfaction with the deal. I'm glad the deal concluded smoothly. Is there anything you want? I shall listen to anything you want. Suyang took the opportunity to make a request. I apologize to say this, but I would like to travel around the Ming Empire, find products, and take them back to my country. Wang Jin seemed taken aback by this request. Ha! Products you say? He then suggested a much simpler solution. But if you had just asked for money, I could give you 50,000 Niang silver at once though. A nearby official gasped, flabbergasted. 50,000 Niang? Suyang remained calm, knowing the long-term value of his plan. Calm down. Grain seeds and livestock will one day be worth more than getting money here. Suyang responded to Wang Jin's offer. Thank you for your kind words. Since you are bestowing your grace upon us, we in Joseon would do our best to send more soap. Wang Jin seemed pleased. Well, that's a good idea too, Wang Jin assured Suyang. I will make your first trip to the Ming Empire as comfortable as a cruise. Suyang changed the subject. By the way, I think I understand why the eunuchs were so absorbed in the fragrant soap. Wang Jin looked at him, curious. What do you mean? Suyang explained the difference between Joseon and Ming eunuchs. In Joseon, the phalli of the eunuchs are left, but in the Ming Empire, even their phalli are chopped off. These crazy motherfuckers, Suyang grimaced. Testes. I mean, if you lose your male parts, it'll be difficult to build muscles. The reason for Wang Jin's request became clearer. Are muscles the important point now? I heard that they can't stop urinating, so it's said that it leaks out as it pleases. The speaker continued, revealing the source of the issue. So their entire body reeks the stench of urine. The problem was worse than Suyang imagined. Sachets and lotions are useless in the presence of an unpleasant odor. The eunuchs nearby seemed to agree, their faces screwed up in distaste. Suyang realized the true purpose of Wang Jin's request. So this was why they wanted to get a lot of soap. The next day, a horse-drawn carriage arrived. A man asked, "Are you the envoy of Joseon?" The man, who appeared to be the chief eunuch of the Ministry of Rites, said, "The chief eunuch of the Ministry of Rites asked me to take care so that there would be no disruption to the tour." Gestured towards the carriage. Such a dazzling carriage. Isn't this almost like the carriage the prince rides in? Another man looked nervous. Are we really allowed to receive this? The carriage that the prince will be riding in is twice as big as this one. Please do not worry. The carriage rolled along the dusty road. Inside the carriage, one of the men marveled at the speed. To think the carriage could run 150 li a day. How interesting. Another man, seated nearby, was less impressed. Would you close that window? Dust billowed into the carriage. This trail of dust is the same whether it's Joseon or Ming. Another man coughed, agreeing with the sentiment. Yigi's words are not wrong either. Suyang reached over and slammed the window shut. Man continued, explaining the lack of paved roads. Because, excluding ancient Rome, proper paved roads did not appear until the 20th century. One of the men in the carriage looked up at Suyang, sweat beading on his brow. Your Highness. Suyang was doing seated push-ups between two benches, as the man questioned his sanity. What are you doing when you have a perfectly intact chair? Suyang paused for a moment, looking at the man. You miss my father and mother more when you come to a foreign country, don't you? Expressing filial piety with your body is what conducting oneself and preparing the body is. The man seemed to be at a loss for words. You must not neglect the body given by your parents even for a moment. Ah, yes. Suddenly, Suyang's eyes widened. Ah, come to think of it, he pointed an accusing finger. Your thick belly fat sticking out of the belt. Pardon? Suyang berated the man, pointing out his flaws. You're still young, but you've already got 3 folds of chin fat. Huh! Suyang continued his tirade, listing the man's ailments. You were coughing a lot when we were on the sailing ship. Once we arrived at land, your knees started to hurt, and you couldn't even walk for a long time. You sweat and get out of breath even with a bit of walking. Don't you think you need to improve your physique? The man collapsed under the weight of Suyang's critique. Suyang towered over the man, a glint in his eye. Now, I've prepared something for you. Suyang smiled, thinking of the journey ahead. I heard we have to cover 1500 li until our destination, Shounen. Suyang clenched his fist, a determined look on his face. The 12-day body-shaping miracle. If it's you and me, we can definitely do it. The man could only scream in despair. No. 12 days later, they arrived in Chang'an. The man, looking considerably healthier, expressed his gratitude. You've worked hard. I don't know how to repay your kindness. Suyang waved his hand dismissively. It was nothing. I was just following the strict order of the chief eunuch. A figure in red robes approached. You are the envoys from Joseon, right? I received a message from the chief eunuch about your arrival. The Governor-General of Chang'an smiled warmly. You've come a long way, so let's begin with a meal. Governor-General of Chang'an presented the meal. Enjoy your meal. The envoy examined the dishes with curiosity. I've never heard or seen these cuisines. Oh, the noodles look odd. The Governor-General explained the origin of the dish. It is called knife-sliced noodles. This dish was born during the reign of the Yuan dynasty. Another dish was presented. Next cuisine. The envoy picked up his chopsticks. It's boiled beef meat. Let's see. He chewed thoughtfully. The pork in the noodle dish is excellent, but the beef tastes terrible. Suyang grimaced at the beef. It's like eating beef that died from malnutrition because the farmer didn't feed it properly. He shook his head, lamenting the poor preparation. To think they'd cook a precious meat this way. TSK. Suyang tried to lighten the mood. There must have been some kind of mistake. Haha. Instead, doesn't everyone agree that pork tastes good? Of course. He declared his love for the other meat. If it's this kind of pork, I won't get tired of eating even if I eat it daily. Meanwhile, back in the Ming Empire's capital, Beijing, a message arrived. We have received a message from the Governor-General of Chang'an. Wang Jin spoke of the man who had escorted Suyang, hoping he could put in a good word about him to the Son of Heaven. He wondered aloud, in any case, Why are you taking care of those countrymen of a small nation? Wang Jin reminisced. Back then, when I became a eunuch, I had just 1 silver niang. He held up a small dish, remembering his past. But now, I've ascended to a position that can offer them even 50,000 niang. Wang Jin tossed the dish into the air, the coins inside jingling. The small dish landed on the roof, coming to rest among the branches. Wang Jin looked forward to something. He smirked, musing about the true value of his offer. How much do 50,000 niang worth to the second son of Joseon King? Suyang stared at the massive pig. Is this really a pig? Done big. One of the men with Suyang observed. It is so big to the extent that it can rival a wild boar. It's clearly a pig because it doesn't have tusks. Another man chimed in. The pigs we raise can get as big as 200 gun in just a year. That's impressive. Another man suggested. Please cut off a piece of this big guy so that we can recognize its quality. Suyang stated. Even if we only bring in that pig, it seems there would still be enough to serve a nation. What are you still worrying about bringing in these good pigs? One of the men replied. We have to be careful about bringing in the pigs here into Joseon. We must look into other pigs and compare first. Suyang stressed the importance of carefully selecting the pigs they bring into Joseon. If we bring in all kinds of pigs without any hesitation, their blood will mix, and they will become a mixed-up mess. The group continued their journey. They arrived in Luoyang, a city in the Ming Empire. So Luoyang has as much crowd as Beijing, Suyang thought. Suyang observed the bustling crowds. In the capital, it's hard to find people engaging in such activities. As expected of the Ming Empire, he overheard snippets of conversation. But the way they speak is a bit strange. I heard someone saying something about Joseon, the savage country or something. Just what are they talking about? Suyang paused, overhearing something that piqued his interest. Huh! If you buy this in bulk, you can also have a body like Grand Prince Suyang. One of Suyang's men spotted something outrageous. Those bastards are selling off your name. He's saying that he's selling pills containing ginseng purchased from the Joseon prince. He says that if you eat just that, your body will become strong. Oh ho! Suyang was shocked. It's only been a month since we started our journey in the Ming Empire, but the rumor has spread to this place already? His subordinate cautioned him. Your Highness, it'll be troublesome if envoys cause any problems. Suyang scoffed. If I cause a problem here, won't it be the same as insulting Father right in his face? I'm just trying to show off real muscles. The man could only repeat himself, exasperated. Your Highness, nearby, a merchant hawked his wares. Now, eating one of these pills will boost your energy. And eating 100 of these pills will make you the strongest person in the world. This is the highest grade medicine made using ginseng obtained from the Joseon prince who visited Beijing. The merchant gestured grandly. This friend right here ate 100 of them. The crowd was shocked. With 100, huh? The crowd looked up at Suyang in awe. Wait, such a strong and big build. Is that really the body of a person? The merchant turned to Suyang, pills in hand. I don't know where you're from, but you'll become the strongest man in the world if you just take 50 pills of these. Suyang crossed his arms. I don't need any pills. Suyang stepped forward, towering over the pill peddler. I'm here to have a contest of strength with the strongest man in the world. The merchant chuckled nervously, clutching his chest. It seems like our esteemed customer won't need to take any pills. The man's face twisted in disbelief. You said that you got ginseng from the Joseon prince, right? How dare you when you don't even recognize me? The merchant sputtered, his eyes wide with panic. Who are you? Do I have to know you? Suyang's muscles rippled as he prepared to reveal himself. I am none other than. With a burst of fiery aura, Suyang declared, Grand Prince Suyang from Joseon. The merchant, utterly terrified, yelled, Youngest, deal with him. Oh, the youngest stepped forward, fists clenched, ready to face Suyang head-on. Youngest struggles against Suyang's grip, face contorted in effort. Q? He couldn't believe it. I have a bigger build than him. But why am I losing? Suyang's face looms closer. Because, with a mighty roar, Suyang slams the youngest into the ground. I have much more muscles than you. The youngest lies defeated, Suyang standing over him. Suyang smirks, assessing his victory. Suyang stands over the defeated youngest, suggesting he try 1,000 gun of big 3 exercises to become the strongest man in the world. To think the youngest lost, the onlookers realize they messed with the wrong person as they are sent flying. Suyang smirks. These are the real muscles of Joseon. Suyang flexes, showing off his gains to the crowd. One of the men, clearly impressed, asks, Would you hand me some paper, pen, and ink? One of the onlookers plans to carve a new Buddha statue in Longmen Grottos, and thinks it will be majestic if he uses that body as a model. The man taking notes tells Suyang it's cold, and asks him to stop. Suddenly, 2 men rush towards Suyang. Ah, so here you were. Your Highness, did you obtain anything? Suyang replies, I think it's too early to decide on the pig breed. What about you people? Huh, one of the men explains, we found some old books, but they aren't in good condition, so we plan to send them back to the country first. Another man adds, we got a lot of seeds, but we don't know how they will adapt to our country. You've all worked hard. Wait, Soo-young looks at a book and asks, isn't this the new writings of Beach? One of the men happily declares, you got your hands on a really satisfying item. You even got the inscription of Chu Sui-Yang. Soo-young rolls his eyes, muttering, is that true? Make sure to show them to me. Is this the difference between an art god and a martial god? They're nerding out too much. Another man exclaims, oh, isn't this the book about the life of Hun Xian, the general of the Zhou dynasty? Someone else calls out, please show me too. The narration states, the harvest of Luoyang was pretty good, and we moved to the next location. It's March 11, 1443. The group arrives at Jingheng Waterway and report Hungza Lake, where Soo-young marvels at the size of a massive ship. Is this a ship or a city? The turtle ship is one of the world's largest ships, but this huge ship makes it look like a little child. One of the men explains, this must be the only ship in this world like this. It was used when Emperor Yongle created a large-scale expedition with the eunuch Jinghe as the commander. Soo-young nods, commenting, if we visit Nanjing, we really need to go to the shipyard that built this ship. Reflects, come to think of it, it has been 3 months since we arrived at the Ming Empire by ship. Has that much time passed already? Soo-young sighs, homesickness washing over him. It makes me miss my family in Joseon. Meanwhile, back in Joseon, the Crown Prince reports to the king about the newly researched Wapo, a small fire gourd. Yes, your majesty, he confirms. The king wonders if they are wasting their time. Doesn't such a small Wapo just serve to scare off the enemies? I wonder if we're wasting our time. Crown Prince explains the advantage of the new weapon. No, in return for being small, it is made long and can be moved while firing. He continues, so if each soldier carries a Wapo, he can fire at the enemy freely. However, the Crown Prince informs the king of a report from the northern area. There was a report from the northern area that a countryman who shot with the Se Chong Tong woke up fine. The report also said that he killed the person who shot him. The Crown Prince clarifies the details of the report. That's because the countryman was dressed in leather, and a small arrow was used against him. Had he been shot hard using a wax-coated pill, his leather clothes would have been pierced, and he would have died. Soo-young, still in Ming, ponders the gifts he received. Therefore, I tried to find a breakthrough in the counterweight sticks that you gave us. He stares intently at the counterweight stick, his mind racing with possibilities. Soo-young raises the counterweight stick, a glint of inspiration in his eye. Soo-young took a sip of his drink, lost in thought. He was enjoying a long-awaited vacation, but he still couldn't stop thinking about His Majesty. He muttered to himself, tell me, what should I do to satisfy His Majesty? A servant overheard Soo-young's soliloquy, and wondered if he was losing his mind. What? Is he self-talking? Suddenly, a strange mannequin appeared, offering a drink. Your jokes are going too far. Ha ha. Soo-young grabbed a bottle. Here, let's stop talking. You should drink a glass too. Soo-young looked up, surprised by the sudden arrival. Huh, aren't you Second Deputy Commander Jang? What brings you here? Second Deputy Commander Jang brushed off the formality. There's no need to address me formally. Would you grill me one herring? Ho ho. It'll come out in no time. He presented the grilled herring. Here it is. Let's see. The Second Deputy Commander Jang took a bite, his face twisting in displeasure. It seems like this herring has gone bad. It tastes weird. It seems like it's because the herring was salted late. In return, I'll bring you seasoned vegetables. Soo-young's eyes narrowed, focusing on the man's words. Wait. It went bad because it was salted late? Second Deputy Commander Jang then held up a bottle. This is called alcohol. If you clean the wound with alcohol, it will heal easily, but if you leave it for 2 days, you will suffer for several days even if you clean it with alcohol. Soo-young considered the information, a new idea forming in his mind. How old is this herring? It was left under a boat for roughly 2 days and then made into this dish. He envisioned the process. Then, if you cut open the stomach of the live fish and immediately salt it, wouldn't it last for half a month? With a burst of energy, Soo-young turned his attention to the sea. He shouted his orders. Bring up the net using the crane. Crane began to lift the massive net, water cascading down. Soo-young directed the crew with renewed vigor. The people on the back keep rowing. Those in front open up the fish's stomach and salt it immediately. Yes. Soo-young points to the lat pull-down machine. We will be using the moving pulley that I learned while making the lat pull-down here. The fish are piled high. One of the fishermen asks, if we salt it quickly like this, will it really last for half a month? Soo-young confidently answers, yes. One of the fishermen is amazed by the sheer volume of the catch. This is the first time in 30 years of my life as a fisherman that I have harvested this many fish. The fisherman continues, just 100 fish are enough to make us fully loaded, but this is well over 1,000 fish. Another fisherman realizes the implications of this bounty. As the harvest of fish has increased, the storage facilities for fish have also increased, if it's done properly. Rather than dried fish, the 8 provinces of Joseon can enjoy raw fish. Soo-young realized that they needed a strong fishing boat that could venture out to the far sea here. He knew what he had to do next. I need to send a letter to His Highness. Suddenly, a voice boomed, a royal order. Royal order was delivered to Suyang's disciple, Ma Iliong. Grand Prince Suyang's disciple, Ma Iliong, carry out this order. Ma Iliong reads the order aloud. I'm planning to make a big haul for conducting oneself and preparing the body soon. Ma Iliong continues reading the royal order, his eyes widening in disbelief. Therefore, as the first disciple of Grand Prince Suyang, gather 20 children of powerful and rich families who were eliminated during the examination of country magistrates. He pauses, shocked. 20? Ma Iliong had a royal order to fulfill, to gather 20 children of powerful and rich families and teach them how to conduct oneself and prepare the body. 1 month later, Ma Iliong reminisced. It was good times when I exercised together with His Highness. When will I gather 20 people? He turned to one of his students. Do you understand the hard work brother went through to teach you? The student replied yes, but... The disciples' eyes light up every time Prince Season teaches them. Ma Iliong was frustrated. But when I carry the book and teach them, they don't even meet my eyes. Shockingly, no one gave any attention to him. Those little... Ma Iliong pondered. It is said that those who do not pass the annual exam by next year will be sent to Hamgyal province. They still haven't got themselves together. The courtier seemed shocked at the news. To Hamgyal province? Yes? Ma Iliong's face fell. Suyang looked at the courtier. Ah, really? So, all the disciples went to Hamgyal province? Ma Iliong looked concerned. Hamgyal province, you say? Isn't it cold there? Just imagining it makes me shiver. Your Highness. Suyang, ever the enthusiast, grabbed a dumbbell. Let's warm up together. Ma Iliong's face crumpled in dismay. Suyang declared, I can't bear to see disciples living with the countrymen. Then, thought bubble appeared. As expected, for someone who lacks learning, the scene shifted to a shot of weights. Wouldn't weightlifting be the answer? A distant scream echoed. Suyang, struggling with a barbell, demanded, What have you learned all this time? Are you still unable to answer the question? Sweat dripped from his brow as he stared intensely. This won't do. Suyang, arms crossed, demands, add one more plate. Disciple, struggling with the weight, shouts, I know. I know. Suyang observes the disciple's struggle. Judging by how you're saying the correct things every time I add the plate, it seems like I must add more. Another plate is added to the barbell. The disciple grits his teeth, barely holding the weight. Get yourself together. We can't lose in weightlifting. I can't. Sweat pours from the disciple's face as he strains. I can't be the only one to suffer. Suyang declares, I shall let those coming after me answer with weightlifting too. This way, the answer provided by weightlifting began to spread throughout the 8 provinces of Joseon. Meanwhile, Suyang's travels take him to Nanjing in the Ming Empire. Lunar calendar 4th month Nanjing, Ming Empire. Isn't Beijing the capital of Ming? On the contrary, Nanjing looks more like the capital, he muses. He continues his observations, noticing the agricultural practices. I mean, it's only the 4th month of the lunar calendar, but there are already cucumbers here. They should grow rice while they grow these cucumbers. How could they? The answer, it seems, is economics. It must be because it's possible to make more money by farming vegetables other than rice, he realizes. Suyang reflects on the differences between Ming and his own kingdom. Joseon's farming is rice farming because survival is its first and foremost priority, he thinks. He knows that Joseon's agricultural focus is rooted in its tumultuous past. Joseon was a country founded on a kingdom devastated by invasions by the Red Turban's rebellion and Japanese pirates, he remembers. Suyang continues his work in the fields, knowing that Joseon had no choice but to pursue state-led food production. However, Suyang declares, we must move forward like this from now on. Everyone, follow me, he announces to his group. We'd like to have a feast with this, so take care of it and bring us the food. The group stares in stunned silence. The 2 men look at each other, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. Suddenly, a dish is presented. This is a fried carp that is still alive and kicking. If you touch its head, it will flap around, so please be careful. The feast continued with a roasted whole piglet, deboned and stir-fried for easy eating. Roasted whole piglet. It has been deboned and stir-fried, so you can eat as much as you like. Next up was a sea turtle soup. We had a great sea turtle, so we made some soup out of it. The men looked on, stunned by the sheer volume of food. Suyang savored the flavors. Hiya, so this is the taste of the Ming Empire. There were a lot of interesting ingredients. Suyang then asked the people of Joseon if they were experiencing the true flavor of the mainland. Is this the true flavor of the mainland? Did you see that, people of Joseon? The feast concluded, Suyang prepared to move on. Now that we all are full. With the feast concluded, Suyang prepared to move on, stating, There's someone I'd like you to meet. Now that we all are full, Suyang announces, There's someone I'd like you to meet. The scene shifts to the Nanjing shipyard. Suyang approaches a man with a muscular build. Are you here? I came to ask something. Man eyes Suyang up and down. A new porter? With that physique, you could probably move an entire keel. Suyang replies, I am Grand Prince Suyang, a member of the envoy from Joseon. The man responds, "Oh, I see." Suyang waves off the almost faux pas, then asks, "I heard you designed the ship for court eunuch Jinghe's expedition." The muscular man beams. "I did." The sight of that massive ship setting sail was truly impressive. He introduces himself as shipbuilder Fang Jiju. Fang Jiju continues, "We built a 2,000 real one specifically designed to escort the flagship. I didn't know then that it would be my last achievement. There were no more expeditions, and the flagships I built one by one also reached the end of their lifespan." He sighs. "After that, I made a living by building simple merchant ships." Miserable. Fang Jiju's face scrunches up in frustration. "Isn't building massive ships a natural matter of course for a man?" Suyang leans in, intrigued. "Have you ever built other types of ships?" "I learned a lot by living and being obsessed with them." Fang Jiju boasts, "I had a hand in the Fuchuan Fujian province's ship, the Guangchuan Guangdong province's ship, and naturally, I am familiar with the Niaochuan Zhejiang province's ship in the vicinity." "Oh ahem." Suyang looks thoughtful. "You seem to like shipbuilding. Do you have any plans to build a new ship again? It's a pity to let your skills go to waste." Fang Jiju's eyebrows furrow. "You're suggesting moving to Joseon and building ships there, aren't you?" The shipbuilder scoffs. "I appreciate the offer, but the life of a true man is about building a large ship to conquer the ocean." Fang Jiju's voice rises in disbelief. "How can I go to Joseon to build a smaller ship?" Suyang sighs, knowing that some things are universal. Engineers never change wherever you go. Suyang presented Fang Jiju with a draft, saying, "Well, would you take a look at this draft? Isn't this just a small fishing boat with only one sail and oars for rowing?" He pointed to a specific part of the design. "But what is it here?" "Windlass." Suyang explained the device's purpose. "This ship catches 4 times more fish than a same-sized fishing boat." The drawing showed a pulley system in action. "Indeed, to pull up the net with the windlass, you only need one mast." Fang Jiju looked thoughtful. "While you may not know how to build a ship, you sure know how to create devices." Suyang smiled, hoping to sway the engineer. "If a small boat surpasses a large ship, that would also be the pride of an engineer, right? Please think it through until we head to Joseon." Suyang left Fang Jiju with an invitation. "And if you feel like working on it with us, visit our lodgings in 10 days. Meanwhile, Suyang's party arrived at a farm on the outskirts of Nanjing. Suyang examined the produce with a discerning eye. "These Napa cabbages are truly unique. They're large, packed, and taste good. Just having these Napa cabbages will last us throughout the winter." He held one up, marveling at its size. "It's like the great-great-grandfather of the Napa cabbage we eat in the modern era." Suyang turned to address the owner. "Well, all right. Hey, owner." The owner scurried over, a bit flustered by the sudden attention. "Select the best seeds. Make sure they're worth the money." "Oh my! Nobles from Joseon have come." "Just a moment, please." Suyang inquired about the pig's growth period. The owner replied, "Years, you ask? I grew it for a little over 1." Explained that the exceptionally large pigs weighed over 240 gun. Suyang was surprised to learn that even after being raised for over 2 years, Joseon pigs only weighed around 70 gun, and that was considered the highest rank in terms of size. He asked, "Can you sell us 100 piglets?" The owner seemed hesitant. 100? That sounds difficult." Suyang smiled, assuring him that he could add as much as needed. "This pig's breed is Yimeng Black Pig, sir." The owner agreed to provide them with an 8-to-2 golden ratio of females to males by the next day. "Joseon, what a beautiful country." "Okay, do your best for me." Suyang gazed at the horizon, realizing that their journey to the Ming Empire was coming to an end. Fortunately, the silver coins borrowed from Chief Eunuch Wang Jun of the Ministry of Rites had run out. Even though exporting soap could easily cover the costs, dealing with someone whose thoughts were unknown was still worrisome. However, Suyang steeled his resolve to make Joseon prosperous. It was a mountain they had to overcome. He narrowed his eyes, lost in thought. Just then, a voice called out to him. "Your Highness, someone named Fang Jiju is looking for you. Has it been that long already?" Suyang looked off into the distance, musing. It seems talents are gathering in Joseon. He turned to his companions. "Did you all pack the baggage well? There are over 400 books. Please handle them carefully." The men bowed deeply. "Understood, Your Highness." Suyang stared at the massive stacks of books. Since there are more belongings than people, the journey from Beijing back to Joseon might be tough. One of the men agreed, "That's true." Suyang was optimistic. "Still, the wind is good, so 6 days should be enough time to reach Shandong. I'm curious as to what will happen in Hanyang." One of his men looked thoughtful. "How will they perceive the gifts we brought?" Suyang smirked. "Don't worry. The Hall of Worthies will be crowded." Back in Joseon, a voice called out, "Your Majesty." Back in Joseon, a court official rushed in, interrupting whatever Suyang was doing. "Your Majesty, something big has happened." He continued to explain the situation. "It is said that there's a huge uproar at Mwachi." Suyang was not pleased to be disturbed. "I was about to break the deadlift record, but you bothered me. If this deal isn't important, be ready for punishment. Now tell me." The official seemed unsure of how to proceed, but tried to phrase it as positive news. Those who had finished their diplomatic mission have returned. That's truly welcome news. That's truly welcome news, he stammered, finally getting to the point. No, Your Majesty. It's because pigs have escaped, and the whole area is in chaos. Suyang was annoyed by the interruption. Damn you. Don't make a fuss. It must be piglets brought from Ming. A court official reported, you see, the big one is said to weigh 120 gun. Another official reacted in disbelief, 45 kilograms. What? Chaos erupted as someone shouted, catch them. One of the soldiers struggled to contain one of the pigs. Is this a pig or a wild boar? Why is it so strong? Nay, a horse. Another soldier, clearly struggling to control his horse, shouted, catch. Catch them. You're a military officer. Why are you on a horse? Nay, I hate him. I'm scared, oink. It doesn't listen because of the pig. A pig, seemingly offended, yelled, ugly human, that's my husband. Honey. The pig, furious at being captured, was about to charge. The pig is about to charge in. Let go, human! The soldier screamed as the pig lunged forward. Eek it, TT. But then, another soldier grabbed the pig. Here you go, rascals. Oink! Suyan watched the chaos unfold, a wry smile on his face. Although it's been a year since I left Joseon, if this continues, what will become of my dignity? The human black pig piglets, finally settling down, began to snort contentedly. But two of the piglets, with furrowed brows and narrowed eyes, seemed less than thrilled with their accommodations. Suyang, observing the pigs, chuckled. Ho ho, look at these wreckers. Their fiery temper and even their build resembles a wild boar's. One of the disgruntled piglets turned its gaze towards Suyang. Hey! Suyang approached the pen, a bundle of straw in his hand. You guys have been through a lot, coming all the way to the distant land of Joseon. He held out the straw, a warm smile on his face, hoping to appease the grumpy pigs. The human black pig piglets, finally settling down, began to snort contentedly. Suyang chuckled, observing the pigs. Ho ho, I guess the hunger in your belly wasn't ordinary. Suyang, pleased with their appetite, grinned. Given their size and vigor, it seems I don't have to worry about the future. One of the piglets thought to himself. Oink, oink, it seems we can trust that human. Oink, oink, that human, something's different about him. Suyang, his eyes gleaming with anticipation, declared, present the fattest pig among them for the celebration. Suyang walked away, flanked by an attendant. Considering that many books were lost during the Goryeo dynasty, I have brought some of them. Most likely, the majority of them are about farming and commerce, so the public works and taxation ministries are going to be busy. The attendant bowed his head respectfully. You've worked really hard. Is there anything you wish for? Suyang replied, I do. I've learned a lot during this visit to the Ming Empire. Suyang, ever the visionary, knew that the key to a stronger Joseon lay not just in military might, but also in the bounty of the land. If Ming's agricultural methods are applied to Joseon, he continued his train of thought, envisioning fields overflowing with crops. Our dietary life will surely undergo a change. It can help address nutritional imbalances. He shifted his focus to another crucial element for Joseon's advancement. Next is the talent. Suyang addressed the assembled craftsmen, singling out one by name. Fang Jiju, was it? The craftsman, visibly nervous, replied, Yes, Your Majesty. Suyang acknowledged the sacrifices made by those who had left their homes to serve him. Leaving the Ming Empire and coming to the distant land of Joseon, you all must have endured a lot. I will ensure that separate places are prepared for each of you. The craftsman, deeply moved, exclaimed, Your Royal Grace knows no bounds, Your Majesty. Suyang knew that skilled artisans were invaluable assets to his kingdom. An enthusiastic craftsman is sure to be useful. Newly trained men expressed their gratitude to Suyang, acknowledging the difficulty of the training they've endured. It's our pleasure to have an audience with you, Grand Prince Suyang. It seems everyone here has gone through hardship to keep up with the training. Suyang turns his attention to Ma Jungo, praising his efforts. Ma Jungo, you've done a great job as well. Ma Jungo modestly replies that teaching is different from learning, hinting at some difficulties he's been facing. It's nothing. Being in a teaching position vastly differs from being a learner. I've had reports of that as well. Ma Jungo explains that he hasn't been distinguishing between the children based on their social class or whether they are from common or servant families. There's nothing about distinguishing a child of a concubine from the common or servant class in conducting oneself and preparing the body. It's just a study thoroughly focused on filial piety. Suyang's expression hardens slightly as he asks if Ma Jungo, a concubine's child, has been disrespected. Even so, did they disrespect Mr. Ma, who is a concubine's child? I think I know how to handle it. Suyang declares that he will teach them in a new way. Alright, from here on, I'll teach you in a new way. Suyang decided to introduce a new training method. It's called CrossFit. I've been told that people are bored with repetitive movements. He held up a kettlebell, ready to demonstrate. So, we'll perform various exercises to clear away our idle thoughts. Watch closely and follow suit. Su-young then demonstrated a series of movements. This is called burpee, which I invented during my stay in Ming. The soldiers looked relieved at the prospect of a new routine. Whoa, it doesn't involve carrying heavy weights, right? Count me in. I'll do it 100 times. Hopeful expectations we're finally free from that boring barbell. Su-young grinned, pleased with their enthusiasm. Haha, that's the spirit. Then, try to copy me. Su-young began the demonstration. First is 20 reps of burpee. Second, 20 jumps over a waist-height log stack box jump. Su-young continued to push the soldiers, demonstrating the next exercise. Third is 20 swings with a 20-gun weight kettlebell swing. That's about 7.5 kilograms. Moved on to the final exercise. And finally, 20 squats without weights. Do this twice, take a break, and then repeat it twice. One of the soldiers asked hopefully, will today's training really be over with this? Su-young grinned ominously. Of course. It approaches with the force like a storm after the silence. The soldier blinked in confusion. Excuse me? What storm? Suddenly, a screech echoed through the training grounds. The soldiers collapsed, utterly defeated. I can't do it anymore. One of the soldiers gagged, bow rising in his throat. Up. The soldier looked ready to lose his lunch. I'm going to vomit. Su-young looked concerned, but only for a moment. Oh no, vomit? He grinned sadistically. Then vomit and continue. I did the same. Humans don't die as easily as you think. The soldiers continued to suffer. One of them finally snapped. You're so mean. Su-young continued to push his soldiers to their absolute limits. It's been more than 6 months since you started conducting oneself and preparing the body, yet your learning still seems lacking. Su-young towered over the soldier, who was struggling under the weight of his training. Now, open the book and focus on your studies. When the strength in your limbs disappears, so will your distractions. The soldier, barely able to hold the book, was clearly suffering. How can I read a book in this state? Su-young was unmoved. It's a must. The soldier was dumbfounded. Both Ma Jungo and Prince Season have dedicated themselves to their studies in this way and achieved great success. It doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, stacks of books sat on shelves, waiting to be read. Su-young held up a copy of calligraphy. Elder brother, is this a copy of the famous calligrapher Chu Suilan? The shot then panned to a stack of books. Su-young presented the books to the others. Here, you can also find copies of Yan Jinqing's Qin Li stele and Ouyang Sun's inscription on the sweet spring in the Jiuqing Palace. This detailed and bold calligraphy must be thoroughly mastered. Grand Prince Ampiang, third son of Sejong, spoke up. Next time, it would be nice if Yi Yong departed as envoy instead of you. Su-young smiled. Certainly, elder brother. I also want to visit Sifu, where the descendants of Confucius live. Su-young continued, noting his father's approval. Actually, father seemed pleased with the outcome of this diplomatic mission and asked me what I thought about going as the next envoy. Su-young, holding a calligraphy book, tilts his head, a puzzled expression on his face. What's wrong, elder brothers? One of the brothers asks. Yong, have you seen the transformation in Deputy Assistant Scribe Shin Suk-ju's physique? Considering the hardships a diplomatic mission brings, your frail body worries me. The other brother chimes in. You need physical strength to travel to distant foreign countries. Su-young's brothers look down at him with concern. It's just that my touch is meticulous, making it difficult for me to lift those lumps of iron. One of the brothers replies. Yong will never know how delicate a dumbbell is. What do you think, you? Su-young looks up, a determined glint in his eyes. Although my muscular strength has more than doubled, my skill in calligraphy remains unchanged. Su-young's brother is taken aback by his sudden interest in calligraphy. Wait, you originally had no interest in calligraphy, did you? But his brother refuses. And Su-young introduces his latest invention, a weapon for the common soldier. This thing is my newly created firearm, the kind even an ordinary soldier can use. He demonstrates the weapon, aiming it toward the sky. The weapon fires with a burst of smoke and light. Su-young explains the firearm's capabilities. Its power pierces armor up close and leather from a distance. The firepower is enormous. The firearm demonstration leaves the officials wondering, in your opinion, what improvements does it need? A masked figure appears, ready to give his input. If you asked me. Meanwhile, in the Ming Empire, a man asks, so is the spy we sent to Joseon performing the mission without any issues? Yes, that's right, he continues, noting Su-young's knack for innovation. The Prince of Joseon has a talent for developing various items, like soap. He leans forward, offering an incentive for information. If he creates something unavailable in the Ming Empire, inform me through a letter. Describe it in writing, and you'll get 5 silver niang. He concludes with a promise of even greater rewards. The more detailed the drawing, the higher the price will soar. Su-young reclines, holding out a silver coin for emphasis. Whether it's Ming or Joseon, is there anything as valuable as silver coins? Su-young explains that to penetrate the leather, the range shouldn't exceed 100 bo. He elaborates on the firearm's design, mentioning that at first, it was supposed to be lifted on the shoulder, or propped up under the chin, but when he made it that way, it became unbearable for a human to endure the recoil. Therefore, Suyang devised a shooting method where you wedge this firearm between your side and arm. One of the soldiers notes that it's very similar to the Sungja Chongtong from the Goryeo dynasty, and that a revolutionary item has appeared. The man in the orange-trimmed uniform states that the way he sees it, this weapon might be vital during a siege or defending the city. Suyang tilts his head, questioning why they are discussing siege or defense when it is designed to be carried by foot soldiers. Suyang points out the firearm's limitations in close-quarters combat, stating, "That's because it cannot aim in situations where enemy troops are attacking. I will demonstrate by firing it myself." The weapon fires with a loud bang, scattering a flock of birds. The soldier peers through the hole in the target. Did it make its way through both the iron plate and wooden board? That's a lot of power. Suyang notes the need for improvements, saying, "Since the bullets are missing the target, the accuracy needs improvement. Also, the aiming method is somewhat inconvenient." Suyang strokes his chin thoughtfully. "I agree. Ordinary soldiers may dislocate their shoulders after the first shot. I should try reducing the size, even if it means sacrificing the power." The soldier in the blue-trimmed uniform asks, "And regarding the inconvenience with the aiming method you mentioned, is there any alternative?" Suyang was about to suggest a solution when a rustling sound came from nearby. The soldier with the scar on his eyebrow asked, "Was it just me? Or was there a rustling sound?" Suyang waved it off. It's nothing. You asked about a solution to this firearms aiming method, right?" Just then, a voice called out, "Hello, is Pak Gang here?" A soldier replied, "Yes, Your Highness." Suyang turned to Pak Gang. "Weren't you the one who drew the blueprint of the Ming Empire's crossbow and disassembled the actual ones several times? Do you think you can recreate the crossbow's structure?" Suyang was on a roll. "Of course. As a matter of fact, I've also been improving the previous design. Let me show me right away." Suyang gestured enthusiastically. "Elder brother, I'll shoot the crossbow myself to showcase the issue with this firearm." He took aim, his expression serious. The crossbow fired with a snap. The arrow struck the target dead center. Suyang turned back to the group. As one would have guessed, Suyang explained that high accuracy requires the eye and wapo to be in a straight line. He then described another challenge. 2 hands are not enough, and losing the aim when the wapo is held with one hand and lit with the other. Another man agreed, stating that it may not be apparent if the enemy is passive, but when both sides are in motion, everyone will face difficulties handling such a weapon. Suyang had an idea. In that case, combining the frame of the crossbow and wapo would solve the problem. Suyang then ordered Pak Gang to stop what he was doing and make this first. Pak Gang was surprised, but agreed. Suyang noted that with each shot, ordinary soldiers lose strength and may get injured on their faces. Suyang considered the design. How about extending the wooden board to the back and attaching it to the shoulder? It might burn the head, so change the place so that the smoke comes out to the side. And what do you think of attaching a dagger to the end as a precaution? Not bad. It would be even better if a wapo could be used as a short spear. 3 months later, on March 2, 1444. Today was the day the Crown Prince, and you would present the new wapo. The military officials had been gathered inside the royal palace. They seemed to have prepared very thoroughly. One of the men worried that although the Crown Prince, and you didn't do anything lightly, wapos had been prone to malfunctions. "Prepare for the firing of an infantry cannon," Suyang shouted. Suyang instructed the soldiers to fill the firearm with gunpowder. The soldier loaded the gunpowder, but the wapo backfired in his face. Suyang ignored the mishap and ordered the next soldier to insert the pellet into the muzzle. The military officials watched the demonstration with concern. "What's going on? That wapo is making so much noise." One of the military officials scoffed at the display. "As expected, it can't be helped for those without any battle experience. Tisk tsk." Suyang shouted, "Fire!" Suyang shouted, "Fire!" The wapo discharged. The military officials erupted in laughter. "Ah ha ha! Ha!" The pellet flew through the air. The soldier shouted, "Check the target." "Yes, sir." The target was hit. 1 shot hit. The military official was surprised that such a noisy item could result in a precise shot, but he wondered where they would use such a thing. He questioned the effectiveness of the weapon. "Only one, huh? Pardon? What was that again?" The official explained. "I said, that hand cannon can only make 1 hit at a time. If the enemy is at a distance, it will need to shoot 10 times just to barely hit the target." Suyang ordered them to prepare for the firing of a cloud hand cannon. The soldiers readied the cannon. Ready to fire. That hand cannon appears unsuitable for the average person to use. It's large, so the pellet must be of a special kind. The order was given. Fire. 2 shots hit. Suyang considered the results. At least this cloud hand cannon is useful. Even so, it takes an eternity to reload. While a wapo fires 1 shot, a skilled archer can charge 3 arrows, don't you think? Suyang smirked. It's still good for hiding, shooting once, and fleeing. You can preload the gunpowder and use it whenever needed. Just then, someone called out to him. "Crown Prince." The Crown Prince spoke, unimpressed. "The first one, the infantry hand cannon you displayed, was difficult to consider as a firearm, and the second, the cloud hand cannon, is much slower than a bow. The Crown Prince looked down at Suyang and asked, "How would you make use of those?" Suyang responded, "The infantry hand cannon is not a replacement for the bow. It takes 10 years of practice to raise a skilled archer." The Crown Prince looked skeptical. "However, those we've prepared for this demonstration have only trained for a mere half a month." "Half a month? Are you really saying they acquired this skill in such a short period?" Suyang confirmed, "Yes, Your Majesty. Half a month is barely enough to learn how to hold the bow." The Crown Prince seemed even more dubious. "And to hit the target properly, it takes at least 6 months of practice." Suyang smiled, knowing he had him. "Then, Your Majesty, since I've shown you the marksmen who have only trained for 15 days, Suyang declared, from now on. He continued, "Allow me to have the skilled marksmen demonstrate their skills." Suyang pressed his point. "Then, Your Majesty, since I've shown you the marksmen who have only trained for 15 days, from now on, Suyang declared, allow me to have the skilled marksmen demonstrate their skills." Newly trained soldiers raised their firearms, ready to show off their skills. "Get ready!" Suyang gave the order. "Fire!" The bullets hit the target's dead center. Suyang's demonstration yielded impressive results. 19 out of 60 shots hit the center. Prince explained that the marksman now had a 30% chance of hitting a target 60 barrio away, and that the speed of reloading had also increased. The Emperor was floored. How surprising. That was definitely not something that could be learned in a short period. Suyang continued to lay it on thick, boasting that even an ordinary infantryman who had only trained for 2 months could demonstrate the same strength as an archer who had practiced for several years. Suyang then gestured towards a small cannon. "Lastly, let me show you the 2-inch cannon. Are you ready?" Yu, standing proudly by the cannon, responded, "Yes, Your Highness." The Emperor eyed the small cannon with skepticism. "Eh? What's that? Isn't that a wapo? That can't be considered a chongtong, given its size." Suyang addressed the Emperor. "What kind of pellets does it use?" "It uses slugs, Your Majesty. We will show you what kind of power it has right away." The 2-inch cannon fired a devastating shot. Blast echoed through the courtyard. The onlookers gasped at the sheer force. The Emperor's eyes widened in amazement. "Incredible! With your SE Chongtong and 2-inch cannon, let alone the barbarians, even the northern Yuan people who used to trample on Goryeo will be crushed instantly." Suyang smiled, basking in the Emperor's praise. "It's my honor, Your Majesty." He thought back to the man who helped him. "You helped me a lot." Meanwhile, back at the Ming Empire Wang Xin's residence, one man asked another, who was seated and writing, "He even developed those firearms, huh? Should I ask the spy to send us a copy of the blueprints?" The seated man considered the idea. "No, it will be difficult to reproduce it exactly if it's drawn by an outsider." He resolved to take matters into his own hands. "It's best if we can get our hands on them ourselves." Regarding the hand cannon and the cannon that you and the Crown Prince created, one man explains that there's a problem when they tried to mass produce it, prompting the other to ask if there's a problem, Your Majesty. The Emperor reveals, "We received a letter from the Ming Empire." He continues, reading from the letter. Inside the letter, it is said that they heard about the objects made in Joseon and requested that they be sent as tributes since the Emperor is very interested in them. Suyang realizes, "I think the objects that they talked about are likely the SE Chongtong and the 2-inch cannon." He wonders how they found out about them, then considers that since the letter only says objects, it's possible that they are referring to something else, not the firearms. Suyang considered the Emperor's request. It's possible. However, he knew that if they sent something else, and the Ming discovered their new firearms' existence, and made a big deal about it, the situation could escalate. They would think they were hiding them on purpose. Suyang realized, to think they called them objects even though they already knew about their existence. He deduced that no one but Wang Jun could think of a plan like this. "In that case, please send 2,000 pieces as tribute." The other man was taken aback. 2,000? That's too many. Sending 500 per year seems more appropriate, though. Suyang was firm. "No, please send 2,000. Meanwhile, inside the Ming Dynasty Forbidden Palace, the Emperor considered the tribute. "Oh ho, 2,000 pieces?" An advisor spoke up. "It is said that the third prince of Joseon will personally bring 500 pieces himself within this year. There's no way a small country on the border can go against the great Ming." Another official inquired, "But may I ask why you wrote objects in the letter?" The first advisor replied, "If Joseon sends another object, it means they must have another plan." He continued, "If that happens, we can pressure them to receive more tribute." The Emperor mused, "Well, since he do, the king of Joseon, is a smart person, that wouldn't happen." The Emperor smirked, thinking about how to squeeze more tribute from Joseon. "Had they said it'd be hard to pay tribute, I would have used that as an excuse to obtain something even greater." "Something even greater?" His eyes narrowed with greed. "We can have the second prince of Joseon as hostage." The scene shifted to a burning village, a symbol of the Emperor's ruthlessness. "Or if they don't listen to us, we can make them understand with force." The sound of wood chopping echoed through the village. Meanwhile, Back in Joseon, one of Soo-young's men approached him. Hey Yang-hae, did you see the announcement a while ago? What did it say? I couldn't read it properly because it was written in proper sounds or whatever it is. News spread among the common folk. I heard that on February 5th next year, the government will recruit a new unit called the Military Training Command. One man looked concerned. Military Training Command? That sounds sketchy. If things go wrong, won't they send us to the far north? Another man hammered wood nearby. Since they are recruiting in the capital, won't the training also be done there? Rumor has it that the person who founded this command was Grand Prince Soo-young. First man pondered. If they are recruiting in the capital, they must be looking for cavalrymen. He looked down at his own 2 feet. Since I don't even have a horse, something like that is impossible for me. But then, a glimmer of hope. The announcement didn't even mention anything about horseback riding. It even said that a bow and arrow aren't needed. The common folk buzzed with excitement at the prospect of joining the Military Training Command. One man's reaction was disbelief. Are you serious? The announcement continued, promising that all one needed was an identity tag, a strong body, and a strong will, regardless of their current status. Furthermore, those who completed the training, along with their families, could become commoners. A lord spoke sternly to a man groveling in the snow. I am sending you to the capital out of generosity, but you know what will happen if you run away, right? Your mother and father will be punished in your place. The man kowtowed deeply, his voice filled with gratitude. Thank you so much, my lord. One man, burdened by his past, trudged through the snow, praying for his family's safety. I will pray every day that my parents are safe while I am visiting Hanyang. That's how hundreds of young people from all 8 provinces across the country, regardless of their social status, believing that as long as they had a strong body, they could become a military officer, made their way to the capital, where Grand Prince Soo-young awaited. That's how, regardless of social status, hundreds of young people from all 8 provinces across the country, believing that as long as they had a strong body, they could become a military officer, made their way to the capital, where Grand Prince Soo-young awaited. On February 5, 1446, Soo-young surveyed the scene at Nodulnaru, now Noryeongjin. He muttered, 1052 people, huh? Soo-young crossed his arms, unimpressed. That's much lower than I was expecting. It can't be helped. He knew that these people didn't even know exactly what their military training command was. Soo-young addressed the crowd, thinking, considering what benefits the members of the military training command will receive, it's truly a shame. The Minister of War hid behind Soo-young, prompting the prince to ask, by the way, why do you keep hiding behind me? The Minister of War trembled. Can you speak in my stead, Your Highness? But aren't you the Minister of War, who will command the army? The minister stammered, tears welling up in his eyes. I can't do it. I have only been carrying out administrative tasks in the first place, so please calm down. His Majesty must have appointed you knowing you would do well. Soo-young cleared his throat, ready to address the crowd. Now then, since everyone has gathered here. Soo-young took a deep breath and boomed. We all sincerely welcome you all who have endured the cold winter to make it to this place. Soo-young addressed the crowd, introducing himself. I am Grand Prince Soo-young, who is in charge of the military training command under the command of His Majesty the King. He explained that joining the ranks wouldn't be a simple matter, because the military training command will use completely different training methods and weapons than the existing units in the capital. Unfortunately, not everyone can receive it. Soo-young continued, setting the stage for the trials ahead. Only those who pass the test will be able to join the military training command. In return, the first test will be easy. The first test is. He revealed the first challenge with a smirk. Running. Soo-young continued, his voice booming across the training grounds. Since you all made your way to the capital, your legs must be strong, right? A soldier's life and death depends on his lower body, and that is even more the case for members of the military training command. He finished his speech with a declaration. Without a strong lower body, you are not worthy to be called a man. Soo-young announced, I will guide you to the test site, so follow me. He gestured forward, declaring, from now on, you have to run from here to the training center in the rear. Soo-young continued, your destination is Tanshin. Everyone, get ready! With a commanding presence, Soo-young yelled, now then, the quick march starts now. Think that the enemies are encamped before you and run. Yes, sir! The recruits surged forward as Soo-young warned, if you are tired, move out of the way. Otherwise, you will be stepped on. The grueling pace immediately took its toll. People failed the first test. People remain. The text at the bottom of the image read. Soo-young began to explain the next stage of the trials. You may have heard of conducting oneself and preparing the body. This is an exercise method I created, and it is a way to be filial to your parents by managing your body effectively. He continued, the second test is to verify your filial piety with this conducting oneself and preparing the body. He laid out the standards for the test. The standard is that you must perform inclined bench presses with a total weight equal to 80 of your body weight. Soo-young continued listing the requirements. Front squats with a weight equal to your body weight. He finished with the last exercise. And deadlift with a weight equal to 120 of your body weight. Soo-young pointed to a nervous recruit. Well, let's start with you first. The recruit responded, yes, your highness. Soo-young encouraged the recruit. It doesn't matter if you fall, so give it your best shot. The recruit responded, yes, sir. The recruit struggled with the weight, every muscle fiber straining. The recruit's form faltered, and the weight crashed down. Soo-young reassured everyone that no one would be seriously injured with the second-generation disciples and Royal Guard instructors present, and asked if the recruit was alright. After the second test, 182 people failed, and 221 trainees remained. As a result, 221 trainees with proven capabilities were selected and began moving to Namhansan, where their training ground was located. The trainees continued their journey to the training ground, torches illuminating the path through the darkening woods. One of the recruits shivered, his teeth chattering. My legs are still shaking. It's getting dark. If we stay out in the mountains like this, we will probably freeze to death. He turned to his companion, seeking reassurance. What do you think, Brother Hong? Hong scoffed. The tests were too easy. He crossed his arms confidently. I would have passed even if they increased the weight. I think the test at the next location will also be easy. Finally, the trainees arrived at Namhansan Fortress, their new training ground. One of the recruits, however, seemed more concerned about the soap. Is it okay for us to use something as precious as the soap bar? The recruit was floored. The other recruits celebrated at the thought of daily hygiene. Soo-young dismissed them for the night. I will personally conduct an interview tomorrow morning, so just wash up and rest for today. The recruits responded with a resounding, yes, your highness. Soo-young watched them go, knowing that these guys will go through 7 months of training before becoming a junior third-rank officer. Soo-young's attendant informed him that the next candidate was ready. Your highness, I will tell the next person to come in. Soo-young responded, all right, let him in. Soo-young grimaced, the interview process dragging on. The interview is almost over. There are only 2 left from the Hong family. Soo-young learned that the first of the Hong family was named Hong San. The first one must be Hong San. He was a slave in Gangwon-do and came here to upgrade his lowest class? The young man explained his motivations. Why did you apply for the military training command? Hong San answered, our lord said that if I became a military officer, my parents would also acquire a higher status, so I applied. Soo-young considered the applicant. He is short and weighs too little. And, Hong San continued, I thought it was my duty as a child to free my parents from slavery, so I worked hard in training to practice filial piety. And Soo-young mused to himself, the training so far must have been quite arduous for him. Soo-young considered that the military training command's training would be tough. However, if someone with such a strong will like Hong San participated, Soo-young thought about how much Hong San would change. The young man bowed deeply. Thank you so much, your highness. Soo-young nodded. I understand you may leave now. Soo-young turned the page in his book, ready for the next candidate. Let's look at the next person. Soo-young read the file. Hong Yun-sung, nicknamed Yang He. Born in 1425, Year of the Snake? Soo-young's eyes widened slightly as he recognized the name. Wait a moment. That human butcher Hong Yun-sung. The next applicant stated, I am from Hoenn District, Chungcheong Province. I have a healthy body, but because my family wasn't well off, I couldn't learn horseback riding. The next applicant stepped forward, stating, I applied because I want to be successful. Soo-young considered the man before him. They say people can't be changed, so can I change the 22-year-old Hong Yun-sung? Do you know what you are doing here? I was told to become the infantry leader and take care of them. Soo-young replied, those who lead people should know how to handle their men without using harsh tactics. It's not about beating and suppressing people to make them listen. He challenged Hong Yun-sung. Can you lead your subordinates like that? Hong Yun-sung paused for a moment. He stated with conviction, if they can't use harsh tactics, why do soldiers exist in the first place? Hong Yun-sung stood firm, arguing, if they can't use harsh tactics, why do soldiers exist in the first place? Soo-young paused, considering his words. Soo-young responded with a slight smile. I hope you find that answer by the time you finish the training. With that, Soo-young dismissed him. You may leave now. The door slid shut. Soo-young was confident that even the stubborn great king Sejong changed, so Hong Yun-sung, who is even younger than him, will definitely change. Meanwhile, the training at the military training command was underway. Left turn, march! Left! Left. A loud voice barked, stop chit-chatting. 2 soldiers watched the training. One of them asked, what an interesting way of training. What do you think, Brother Hong? Hong San replied, it is a training of adaptation to make the team perfect. There is nothing more important than loyally carrying out orders on the battlefield. The scene faded to black, with a question hanging in the air. Isn't this the place where people who were just alive turn into lumps of meat? Soo-young declared that from now on, All command systems used in the military would use the proper sounds. He emphasized that those who would lead the soldiers must also master the proper sounds. The trainees listened carefully to Soo-young's instructions. Hong San watched with a stern expression. Soo-young asked if they knew how to use it after reading, adding that he was still learning the proper sounds, but was in no rush. Hong San thought he was going to reconsider about him if he showed his rough temper again, but he's still following without any problems for now. One of the trainees observed, "If we keep going like this, that guy will be the leader of the 1st Military Training Command." A janky piece clattered against the board as one of the trainees exclaimed, "Damn, I lost." Another trainee asked San, "Where are you going? It's your chance to play." Hong San, looking slightly sheepish, replied, "Sorry, but I have never played janky before, so I'm going to take a walk and cool my head." One of the men scoffed, "Take a walk, my ass. It's already hard as it is. We should take a break now." "When else can we take a break otherwise?" Hong San chuckled nervously. "This is taking a break for me, so I'm really fine. Please enjoy your game, haha." Hong San walked away from the janky game, lost in thought. He paused, considering something. He told someone, "This is the only valuable thing I have." Man was instructed to sell this and add it up to what you have. Hong San continued, "And don't come back here anymore. Don't worry about us either." Hong San walked off, leaving the man behind. Suddenly, someone noticed something. Looking into the tent, he thought, "Come to think of it, this tent is the only tent with lights on until late. What is this place?" Inside, Soo-young was working out with weights. "Is that?" The peeping man quickly apologized. "If you're out of curiosity, just return." "Excuse my rudeness, my lord," Soo-young continued. "By the way, I've used other things during the exercise." Soo-young questioned the use of the large clubs, 3 times the size of a rolling pin. The 8th Senior Grade Assistant Training Officer, Ma Il-young, asked which government post Soo-young held. Soo-young asked Assistant Training Officer Ma where he used the club he was carrying. Ma Il-young grinned, asking if he was curious. Ma Il-young offered to let him hold it, then he'd gladly let him know. "Pardon? This is called a meal." Ma Il-young explained that this was a method of increasing grip strength and dexterity in wielding weapons by slowly turning the wooden stick. One of the trainees struggled with the oversized club, questioning how one could exercise by slowly turning this thing. The trainee let out a groan. He wondered aloud who created this thing, saying he'd really love to see his face. Soo-young appeared, overhearing the comment. "Who do you think?" "Of course, it's His Highness Grand Prince Soo-young." He wondered if someone was talking about him. Soo-young explained that the exercise would differ according to the weapons they all chose, but since they didn't know which one to choose, they'd have to try out everything. "Pardon?" One of the trainees, clearly regretting his life choices, declared, "I'm going to go with the round shield, so I won't need to wield that meal, right?" A hulking soldier presented him with a massive plate. "Then, you'll have to use this huge plate that weighs 64 gun." The trainee, upon learning that it weighed 24 kilograms, burst into tears. "I apologize. I'm uneducated, so I can't use this shield either." He turned to flee. Soo-young asked him, "Where are you going?" Soo-young grinned, his eyes gleaming with sadistic glee. "Now that you're here, you should try experiencing it in advance." The trainee broke down, tears streaming down his face as he realized the sheer scale of his mistake. 1 hour later, Soo-young dismissed the trainees. "Now then, I'll see you tomorrow." One of the trainees leaned against a tree, his face pale with exhaustion. "Phew. How will I endure this now?" He glanced nervously around, sweat dripping from his brow. A figure approached him from the shadows. "Yongi? Where have you been?" Trainee was confronted by a figure in the darkness. "I thought the trainees were prohibited from going outside the military training command." I was bored of training with weak people, so I just came to exercise for a bit." He stared in shock. "Your arm!" The trainee noticed the blood. "Isn't it that blood? Did you get hurt while exercising?" The figure turned away, silent. He spoke, glancing back at the trainee. "It seems like you're the only one who saw me going outside." He issued a warning. "Pretend you didn't see me today. I don't know the reason, but it seems like Grand Prince Soo-young is carefully keeping an eye on me." The mysterious figure warned the trainee to keep quiet about their encounter and return inside. "Just know that and go back inside." He turned, a disturbing smile playing on his lips. "And don't worry, this blood isn't mine." Meanwhile, back at the military training command, Soo-young prepared to demonstrate his achievements. He addressed the king. "I could come all the way to this position due to father and mother's grace." Soo-young continued, his voice ringing with confidence. "Now I'd like to show you my achievements so far." 2 chibi figures watch on, one radiating confidence and the other, burning with competitive spirit. "Good luck." Soo-young gripped the barbell, his knuckles white as he prepared to lift. With a triumphant grin, Soo-young completed the bench press. "Phew, it's a success." Soo-young beamed, confident that no one could say his arm could only hold paper, pencil, or ink. He had worked hard in practicing conducting oneself and preparing the body, bench pressing 140 gun, or 84 kilograms. Soo-young then announced that he would like to challenge deadlift. The weights crashed to the ground. Soo-young succeeded in his deadlift. The weights clattered against the frame. The king and his advisor looked on as Soo-young totaled his squat, bench press, and deadlift. With 180 gun, it made a total of 500 gun. Soo-young beamed. You may have started late, but you're quick in learning, so I'm very satisfied. Thanks to both brothers, I could make a trip to the Ming Empire with a healthy body. King Sejong replied, but you can't be satisfied yet. The king continued, you still have a long way to go, so you must never stop moving forward. Now, he can no longer be satisfied with gun of big 3 exercise. Then again, even the great King Sejong can handle that much weight now. Sejong added, right, while we're at it, I'd like to see you's further achievements in conducting oneself and preparing the body. Soo-young's face fell slightly. I heard that you recently raised your level of conducting oneself and preparing the body by a lot. I'm screwed. I've been busy with the military training command. He trailed off. Soo-young finished. So I've only done it 6 times a week. Soo-young continued to train, his back muscles rippling with each movement. Meanwhile, King Sejong watched with a smile. It's always greatly rewarding no matter when I see that body. Soo-young steeled himself. I'm always working hard with filial piety in mind. Then I shall begin squatting with 440 gun of weight, 264 kilograms. Soo-young began his squat, the weight pressing down on him. He strained under the load. Cough. Soo-young pushed through the pain, determined to complete the squat with 440 gun. Soo-young followed his squats with a successful 330 gun bench press. He stared at his body, musing. It started off daringly, but this body is very strange. Relatively dissatisfied. To think this is really a weight a human can lift. He examined his hands, flexing his fingers. Normally, I can't lift this much weight. How truly amazing. King Sejong watched him, a hint of worry in his eyes. As expected, even if it's you, it's natural to be scared of that much weight. You may take a quick break. Soo-young scoffed. No, father. I've taken enough breath, huh? He prepared himself for the final lift. So, for the last one, I shall perform deadlifts. As Soo-young prepared for the final lift, the royal guards watched with a mixture of awe and fear. The onlookers could only stare as Soo-young began to lift. With a mighty heave, Soo-young completed the deadlift. 430 gun deadlift succeeded. King Sejong beamed with pride. How proud am I of you. The Crown Prince is on 700 gun, and Grand Prince Ampyong on 500 gun. To think you can lift what they lift combined, how can this not be a blessing? He instructed Yong, before you goes to Beijing, draw his body on an 8-panel folding screen. Continued, place the folding screen in the exercise hall, to serve as an example for those who are working on conducting oneself and preparing the body. One of the trainees looked up, confused. Pardon? Drop. Soo-young stared at the poster of himself, now a fitness celebrity. Don't tell me, won't the gym be swarmed with this from now on? King Sejong stood proudly, but Soo-young was mortified. Father, leaving my body for generations to see is embarrassing. No, since you lifted 1200 gun weight, isn't that a feat that will forever be remembered in history? Soo-young's face soured at the thought. We shall be calling 1200 gun of big 3 exercises as the Soo-young gun. Soo-young gun? Soo-young's mind raced, questioning his influence. I'm not changing Joseon in a weird direction, am I? Meanwhile, at the Military Training Command headquarters, new orders were being issued. Starting today, we will divide the military into different types and begin training tailored to each weapon. The speaker emphasized a crucial point. Keep in mind that the marksman is the one who handles the new firearm developed by the Crown Prince. Soo-young instructed his trainees then, stand on the branch of your choice. The trainees responded with a resounding yes. Back at headquarters, a man reported to Soo-young, Your Highness, the number of military trainees desired has been organized. The numbers were broken down as follows: 41 shieldmen, 51 spearmen, and 63 longswordsmen. The report continued, and, lastly, 66 marksmen. Soo-young noted with a thoughtful expression, there are not a lot of marksmen. I guess it's because people are still used to cold weapons. Soo-young was still worried about designating proper training for the trainees. He inquired about the shields that the shieldmen would be using and received confirmation. Soo-young observed that the shield seemed sturdy enough to withstand even an attack from a mountain tiger before yelling, You there. Soo-young demanded to know what they were doing and ordered them to get to their positions and get ready. The trainees apologized. Soo-young asked if everyone was ready. He announced that the first training exercise involved turning the shield in all directions. One of the trainees looked at the shield in disbelief, noting that it was already heavy enough just to carry. Soo-young commanded them to stop talking and quickly follow his moves, and the trainees responded affirmatively. He explained that while the shields might be heavy now, they had no other choice, adding that the primary reason the shield was made big and blunt was to increase the defense range, and the secondary objective was to block the enemy's march. Meanwhile, A figure in a mask mused that they didn't know where the cannons that would be sent to Ming might be used for. RizzyComic.com. The masked figure continued that they should prepare in advance. Back with Suyang, he declared that only those with the greatest strength would be able to become a shield man. Suyang explained that it was because, in order to avoid being penetrated by a hand cannon, at an effective range of 100 feet, the weight must naturally be increased. Two of the trainees watched Hong San, impressed. They commented that he was really getting better as time passed, wondering where he got such strength. One of the trainees told Hong San he could stop now. Sweating, the trainee asked if Hong San remembered how many times he turned it. Hong San looked back, confused. Hong San, still sweaty from his workout, spotted someone. That guy, if you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mom told me I should stop reading and doing these recaps and that it was a waste of time. But I know you guys are different. If you like these recaps, please subscribe and let's prove her wrong. The two trainees strained under the weight of the logs they carried. But 1.5 months was enough time to change people. It is hard as hell, but the meals are really good. If you eat that much for lunch, don't you feel bloated? One trainee asked, a rice ball halfway to his mouth. Another trainee smirked. I don't think I'd be as bloated as you. Shield men eat with their shields on their backs, even during meal times. Well, I always ate horse or cow meat. The meals are one thing, but I have only discovered that pork is this delicious since coming here, the first trainee replied, taking another bite. Trainee savored the pork. I agree with you. To think I'd be eating pork instead of beef, when else would we enjoy such luxury? Another trainee, hearing this, decided to get more. In that sense, I'll be getting more food for myself. Wait, already? He grinned. Already heading back for seconds. Yes, maybe because of the difficult training, I end up eating endlessly. I'll be back soon. Then again, he's at his peak growth. Suddenly, Suyang's voice boomed out. You finally look like a soldier. As you may have already experienced during the admission, a soldier's life is all about their lower body. Suyang informed them. Socks and new shoes will be provided additionally, so get used to it. We will be going on a march in 2 days. One of the trainees looked up quizzically. What kind of march do you mean? Suyang grinned. We're going to walk the mountain path from morning until evening for 100 li 40 kilometers. One of the trainees muttered, of course. Whatever it is, I won't starve, so. Rain began to pour down on the trainees. They trudged along the mountain path. One of the trainees grumbled, if it were up to me, I'd really love to just run down and go home. His companion replied, you'll meet a mountain tiger and die if you do so. Suyang announced, let's take a short break. Replenish your stamina here. The trainees cheered. Suyang had already run out of taffy. Here, take a sip of water at least. Everyone, eat a grain of salt when you drink water, he added. Suyang continued, and those who ran out of water should not worry either. You'll be provided with water once we arrive at the next hill. One of the trainees smiled. At least, it's worth fighting when we have someone like that as our superior. His companion agreed. You're right. The rain continued to pour. Now, let's begin the match again. Get in a row, Suyang shouted. There was around 1 month left for the military training command. The rain continued to soak the trainees as they trudged along. Hong Yun-sung was an extraordinary man from the beginning. But Hong San? That guy may have looked weak, but when did he grow that fast? Not only those two, the others, who were all over the place at first, changed too. Suyang smirked, pleased with the progress. He thought to himself, I want to quickly show these strong figures to father. It was September of 1445, in Beijing of the Ming Empire. A man on a throne welcomed, welcome, third prince of Joseon, Yong. The man continued to think the third prince would come after the second. I understand how passionate Joseon's education is. I heard you have a knack for calligraphy. He asked, would you write a phrase for me? A phrase? He examined the calligraphy. Right, I'm satisfied with this calligraphy. He then stated, I'd like to talk about your tribute next. The man on the throne questioned, you called it hand cannon, but I'm curious why you did not use it in the fight with the wild men Jurchen people. As a civilized country, we are embracing a cultured country, so we can't use it as we please. He continued, just as it is a child's duty to show respect to their parents, won't it be appropriate for us as a civilized nation to do the right thing? Another man interjected then, did you send us a weapon that is yet to be proven, without even using it in real battles? Suyang responded confidently, but it pierces through armors, so it is extremely excellent. Moreover, the soldier will become proficient in it after 1 month of training, so the Ming Empire will have nothing to fear in the world. The man on the throne stroked his beard. Seeing how confident you are, I'm curious about its power. He then stated, let me see it for myself. Soldier aimed the hand cannon with precision. 3 out of 8 shots hit their mark. The king watched intently. Since it penetrated the armor at the chest and abdomen, and became lodged inside, anyone would have died instantly. He examined the results closely. As it consumes less gunpowder than our cannons and can shoot faster, we can say that it is an excellent weapon. Another man beamed with delight. I thought there was no sibling better than the older brother, but they're right here after all. To think Joseon would make a better firearm than the great Ming, their brother. The king's advisor spoke up. Would you pay 1,000 hand cannons every year as a tribute? We need to drive out the ferocious Tatars. How could we dare to do that? Man in fine robes pleaded. We came here prepared to present 2,000 hand cannons as tribute. Please consider our sincerity. Meanwhile, at Joseon Military Training Command Headquarters, a trainee was sent flying by a brutal punch. His comrade looked on in shock as the trainee fell to the ground. The shocked trainee's face was a mask of terror. Trainee who delivered the blow wiped blood from his mouth, looking displeased. It was September 1445. Suyang was dismissed from his position due to abusive behavior. Dismissed from his position due to abusive behavior. Suyang's legacy was already being carved in stone, literally. The Woyang attraction, Longmen Grottos, stood as a testament to art and history. And Jian, an early Joseon dynasty painter, was clearly impressed. What a sight! There are stone caves and thousands of Buddha statues along the cliff, he remarked. Grand Prince Anpyeong pointed towards a new addition. Grand Prince Anpyeong, there is a newly carved stone Buddha over there. He examined the statue closely. Maybe because it is new, it seems slightly different from other stone Buddhas. It seems like a bold attempt to express another aspect of the four heavenly kings. Anpyeong gestured further into the grottos. As you go further back, there are more stone Buddhas like this. He squinted, noticing a peculiar detail. But why do their faces resemble that of Grand Prince Suyang? As the group admired the stone Buddhas, one man turned to his companion, asking, "Hey, do you know who carved these stone Buddhas?" The scene cuts to a flashback, revealing the reason behind the question. 2 years ago, there were con men who sold fake drugs to people. The flashback intensifies with a brutal display of justice. Please refer to chapter 25. The narrator explains the divine intervention. It said that Viraka, who could not bear to witness such a scene, came directly from heaven and punished them. The explanation continues, clarifying the deity's significance. One of the four heavenly kings and a major deity in Buddhism. The style of the stone Buddha slightly changed afterward. Back in the present, one of the onlookers mused, "Ho, isn't this story about Grand Prince Suyang? He will definitely find this interesting." Suyang's face contorted in fury, veins bulging. "Take those words back immediately. How can my brother's muscles be full of fat like this?" A nervous attendant tried to calm him down. "People will gossip, Your Highness. Please lower your voice." Suyang was not to be reasoned with, staring at the offending statue. "How am I supposed to stay still now? What kind of muscles are that flabby?" His rage was palpable. "To think they would dare to insult my brother's muscles. There's no way I can go back like this." The attendant looked concerned. "Is postponing your return schedule necessary, Your Highness?" Suyang replied, "Of course. Instead of a monk robe, I will make it so that the upper body is exposed." He surveyed the cliff face. "This place looks good enough. The height of the cliff is well over 20 barrio. My brother is not only physically fit, but he also has outstanding intelligence. So I will carve him as Manjusri." A few months later, Suyang surveyed his work. Phew. The rough sketch has finally been completed. Compared to the other stone cliffs, this cliff emits a dark energy, so it feels like a dark dragon is ascending to heaven. That's how the Mayan Empire gained a new Buddha statue called Muscle Bodhisattva, and the statue became a new attraction in Luoyang that inspired numerous sculptors. September 9, 1445, Yang Festival, Military Training Command Graduation Day. Attention, all forces. At ease. Attention. King Sejong appeared, looking healthier than ever. "Salute to His Majesty the King!" The troops roared in unison. "Salute!" King Sejong addressed the troops. "Seeing you guys move in unison, I can understand how hard you must have worked. You will set an example for all future officers, and the story of your effort will be passed on to future generations." Troops responded with a unified cry. "In order to repay your immeasurable kindness, we will fight until our last breath, Your Majesty." King Sejong turned to the Crown Prince. "You should check how much they have mastered the art of war, Crown Prince." The Crown Prince bowed his head. "Yes, Father." The Crown Prince gave the order. "All forces, square formation. Go!" The soldiers moved into position. The Crown Prince continued, "All forces, gather in the lines of 4 by type." Someone whittled down some wood with a knife. Logs rolled forward. The soldiers braced themselves. "Shield forces, prepare for impact." The logs slammed into the shields. An officer yelled, "Now! Push and come out!" Logs scattered. Suyang continued to drill the soldiers. "Next, spearmen!" He called out the next group. "Next, longswordsmen." His gaze was intense. He stomped his foot, signaling the next part of the exercise. The spearmen thrust forward. Suyang barked out orders. "Marksmen, 2-rank formation. 2 ranks formation." Suyang ordered the soldiers to prepare. 5 fire carts. Shooting formation. He explained the weapon's origin. "Brother made this weapon specially for the soldiers of the Military Training Command. Should I call it Joseon's version of multiple barrel firearms?" He gave the order to unleash the volley. Fire! The fire carts erupted in a massive explosion. The king clapped his hands together, impressed. Splendid. That was incredible. King beamed with pride. I don't think there will be any foreign enemies that will dare to attack our country from now on. The first military review of the military training command that day was a great success. By order of King Yang, the townspeople from the towns had their statuses upgraded, and Hong San was given a new name, Yung Byamsu. A man held up a document, seemingly in disbelief. Did they really complete all of these? Another man in a blue robe responded. It is said that His Majesty the King personally confirmed this. The king sat on his throne, looking over the report. If everything in this letter is correct, they are truly talented people. Normal soldiers won't even be able to compare to them. However, a voice echoed in the room. They must all be greenhorns with no combat experience. Yes, my lord. No matter how strong and agile those soldiers are in training, some of them might still run away during a real war. The man mused over the mountain range. They have never trained in the middle of winter, right? They might have climbed the mountain quite a lot, but there is no way they know how cold the mountains can be during the winters. He lowered his gaze, lost in thought. The military training command must have been created to stand at the forefront of the war. Another voice broke the silence. Then shouldn't we get ourselves some experience as well? Another man warned. Mount Bakabong is dangerous in winter. Not only is it high, but it is also full of hungry tigers. The first man responded. I think we can send about 30 people, not all of them. Since they have sufficiently trained their bodies, what they need right now is real experience. He continued, but I'll dispatch a local soldier with them so they won't get lost and freeze to death. The man spoke with concern, his back to the viewer. If a soldier were to lose his life, how would we be able to face His Majesty? Speaker grimaced. Then that's all the military training command amounts to. He glared into the distance, his expression hardening. We can't entrust the northern region to such soldiers. It was November 1st at the Hamhung provincial office. A man shouted, Attention! Greet the general commander. The soldiers saluted, as Suyang applied the modern army's greeting method to the military training command and made them say, Salute! Suyang addressed the troops. Welcome to the northern area. I'm aware that you all went through a rough training. He continued, however, Hamhung is a harsh land filled with fierce cold and groups of bandits. One of the men spoke up, scars crisscrossing his face. I fought with 3 horse thieves and lost one of my ears. The stab wound on my back is still numb. Suyang looked over his troops, a glint in his eye. I'm curious if you all will be able to endure it too in the end. Of course, the most important thing is to overcome the cold of the north. He paused, a dramatic flourish building. Then, I shall give you your first mission. A majestic mountain range filled the view. From now on, climb to the summit of Bakabong and leave your mark there. Suyang addressed the assembled soldiers. Select 30 men with nimble bodies and get moving. I shall assign 2 guides. He continued, his expression stern. The time limit will be 8 days. Suyang concluded with a challenge. Prove to me the abilities of the military training command. Local soldier, looking terrified, volunteers. Who will be the guide? It's me. One of the soldiers holds up a map. Now that we're going to move together, let's make a plan. Are you really going to do it? We'll be in big trouble if something goes wrong. The local guide looks up at the soldiers. Is there a law saying that bandits must not barge in during winter? Soldiers must carry out orders given to them. One of the soldiers replies, That's true, but the view shifts to the mountain range. All this time, you would have spent a day on the mountain near the capital city at most, but this place will really be different. The soldier holding the map expresses his concern. It's common for even seasoned hunters to cut off their fingers and toes there. Have you prepared a solution to that? A hand reaches out to grab a bag, presumably containing the solution. Suyang's face darkens. Are you going to just keep babbling about? You can join if you want to go. Otherwise forget it. One of the soldiers speaks up. One of the instructors who taught us in Mount Nauhan was from Kapsan. We learned a lot of hiking thanks to him, so it'll be of help to us. The soldier's face tightens. There is no time to waste. Those who have packed their equipment should go first. The soldiers murmur amongst themselves as they watch the group head out. He's tall and has a good physique, but what? One person leads 15? Another soldier scoffs at the departing group. I don't know about the general commander. How funny. Do those guys even know how to fight? Shall we have a bet on how many toes they'll lose off in total? I'll bet on 20. As the group set off, one of the soldiers eyed the hand cannon strapped to Suyang's back. By the way, what's that iron bar? Another soldier noticed the load he was carrying. Shields and even weapons. Aren't you carrying too much weight? Suyang smiled confidently. Don't worry too much about me. The local soldier adjusted his ear muffs, looking uncomfortable. Rather than that, aren't your ear muffs too tight? It'll be better to loosen it up a bit. He loosened them slightly. Ah, no wonder my head hurts. Thank you. The camera focuses on the chains attached to the boots, meant to provide traction on the ice. These chains aren't much help when walking on the ice road either. Suyang frowned, clearly regretting the decision to wear them. What kind of person suggested wearing this? Suddenly, a soldier falls to the ground, clutching his leg in pain, and the others rush to his aid. Soo-young's expression hardens, his fist clenching at his side. He silences any further questions with a stern declaration. Grand Prince Soo-young, don't ask any further. As dusk settles, Soo-young surveys the area. We shall camp in this place. Everyone, grab a site and set up the tent. The soldiers quickly set up camp, their movements efficient and practiced. One of the soldiers marvels at their progress, a crackling campfire illuminating his face. Just how much training did you do that everyone is adapting so quickly in this winter mountain? Grand Prince Soo-young originally wanted to train us in a winter mountain, but we couldn't because we had no time. He explains the reason for their preparedness. In return, we went through 2 mountain-based training sessions. The stew is ready, and one of the soldiers peers into the pot, curious. I think it's done now. What did you put in? Is it like steamed rice? Cook offers him a bowl. It's an assorted stew that we eat in the military training camp. It's not that delicious, but it'll give you energy. Thank you. He takes a tentative sip, his expression thoughtful. He chews slowly, savoring the unexpected flavors. It tastes unique, and the fruit scent is unique. How did you make this? After roasting the pig, it is dried well and ground. Then I added dried and chopped cherries, seaweed, and apples. Just then, a soldier approaches Soo-young. Officer Hong-san, we've installed the tents. Soo-young replies, oh, already? Soo-young nods in satisfaction. Very well, 6 people for night watch should be enough. Soo-young barks out orders. Stand by in groups of 2 at a time on 3 sides, and be sure to carry a whistle. Understood. The night deepens. A soldier sits by the bonfire. Soo-young approaches him. Is the bonfire all right? It's not your turn yet, is it? The soldier smiles, looking up at Soo-young. That's true, but I'd like to talk with you. Won't it be a good idea if you can speak more kindly to the other soldiers? Soo-young looks back at the fire, his expression hardening. We may be comrades, but I'm the one who leads them. Humans will seize any given opportunity. Soo-young's face is stern as he confronts the soldier. If you're dissatisfied that I'm the same junior 3rd rank officer as you should have told me directly. Junior 3rd rank officer leader of a 15-people squad. The soldier's eyes widen, sweat beading on his brow. What are you talking about? Never once did I have that kind of thought. Soo-young's expression hardens, his gaze piercing. Haven't I always been a thorn in your eyes? Soo-young continues his accusations, his voice low and dangerous. That's why you secretly went to Grand Prince Soo-young to talk about leaving the camp. Do you sleep comfortably talking behind your comrade? The soldier stumbles back, his face a mask of panic. Stop. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. It's time to rotate the night watch shift. Soo-young warns, be careful, San. He continues darkly. I may be the one to stab you in the back with a knife next time. The group of soldiers finally reaches the summit of the mountain. Soo-young surveys the view. To think we reached the summit already. I've climbed a lot of mountains, but I've never climbed up to a summit this comfortably. One of the soldiers notices something. Is there a problem? He points to the sky. Dark clouds are coming from the northwest area. Suddenly, the eye of a tiger peers out from between the trees. Soo-young shouts, descend quickly. Make a torch, even if you have to tear down the tent. It's dangerous to be isolated in the mountains like this. Just then, a soldier yells, Officer Youngi. Behind you. Youngi's eyes widen as he turns. He raises his sword to defend himself. It's too late. The tiger's claws tear through the air, leaving a trail of blood. The tiger's claw slices across the soldier's arm, drawing blood. Too shallow. The soldier grits his teeth, bracing for the impact. The tiger's paw slams into the soldier's shield. Erg! The force of the blow sends the soldier stumbling backward. Other soldiers look on in horror. The soldier loses his footing and plummets off the cliff. Someone shouted, Officer Youngi. Soo-young orders the soldiers to perform the 8th posture of point gymnastics, preparing them for 31 repetitions of the lying leg twist. The soldiers look up at Soo-young aghast. Th-31? Soo-young glares down at the men. Don't start from the final count, you lazy slouches. He demands they get their muscles moving. The soldiers begin the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Soo-young watches them closely. Maintain your posture. Until your posture is correct, the repetition won't count. Soldiers struggle to complete the 8th posture, their legs trembling. My legs. Soo-young watches them with a stern expression. 16. The soldiers continue to count as they push through the pain. 22, 28. Finally, the last repetition. 31. The soldiers collapse, exhausted. Silence falls over the training ground. The men stare up at Soo-young, who seems to have miscounted. Oops. Soo-young's voice booms across the training ground. Did I hear someone say the final count? He smiles, his eyes gleaming with sadistic glee. How many repetitions must you perform before yelling the final count? Soldiers, already on the verge of collapse, stare back in stunned silence. Soo-young's face contorts in fury. No response, huh? I asked. How many repetitions? The soldiers scream in unison. Yark! 62. Soo-young's voice echoes with authority. The 8th posture of point gymnastics. Lying leg twist, 62 repetitions. Begin. Yangi plummets, screaming. He lands hard in the snow, his helmet clattering beside him. Mumbles, "We're alive." He continues to mumble, 16 times. Rope, climbing, "I'm sure I can." A voice calls out, "Hey Yangi, wake up." The speaker peers down at him through a scope. "Hey, are you awake now?" Yangi is still dazed from the fall. He asks, "Where is this place?" "It's in the middle of the cliff. Thanks to branches and snow, we survived." "Can you move?" Yangi struggles to sit up, regaining his senses. "My body feels fine." "How much time has passed?" "Well, I just hope this delay wasn't too long." Soo-young turns to leave, saying, "Then, let's get going." He pauses, noticing something. Soo-young stares at Hong San's leg. "Hong San, your injury." Despite his injury, Hong San continues onward. Yangi grips his makeshift crutch, his hand bloody. This won't do, he thinks. Yangi insists that Hong San proceed without him. It's necessary to return to the military headquarters within 8 days for the path to a government post to be opened. You go ahead. I'll rest for a while and follow. Hong San stares at Yangi, unconvinced. He points out the obvious. The tiger is still nearby, yet you plan to rest and follow, huh? Yangi smiles weakly, trying to reassure him. I'm fine, really. You may go first. Hong San glances back at the injured Yangi, deciding that with that injury, he's just a burden anyway. He turns and replies, "Then do as you please." "As you say, I'll go ahead." Hong San continues on his path through the snow-covered forest. He thinks to himself, I did the right thing, sending Yangi first. Hong San pauses, noticing footprints in the snow. Those footprints were quite recent. My decision to wait was right, but suddenly a tiger emerges from the trees, stalking him. To think we would meet like this? This beast, having starved all winter, will chase Yangi the moment it takes my life. Hong San knows there's no turning back now. He aims his rifle, realizing that his shot will barely make the tiger flinch. The tiger's face is marred by a wound, possibly obscuring its vision, and Hong San sees this as his only chance. He thinks, come closer. A headshot is my only way to survive. The tiger lunges. Its massive paws crash down through the snow. The tiger's fangs close around Hong San. Indeed, it was impractical to deal with it all alone from the very beginning. Soo-yang finishes the tiger off. He looks down at Hong San, whose face is marred with blood. Hey, don't get me wrong. I didn't come back because of you. He explains his true motivation. Any dropouts will raise doubts about the competence of the military training command, that's all. Soo-young looks down at Hong San, a thoughtful expression on his face. I see. Hong San looks up in confusion. And do you still hate His Highness? What? Suddenly a voice booms out from the darkness. Where have you been? I thought the trainees were prohibited from going outside the military training command. The speaker pauses, searching for the right words. Like. The man's eyes widen as he takes in the scene. Hong San and, is that Hong Yun-sung? Covered in blood? Man's accusation rings out. We must expel Hong Yun-sung now. He leaves the camp at will, pretends to be a military officer, and fights with the subjects. Soo-young is told that his behavior will only tarnish the military training command's reputation. Meanwhile, Hong Yun-sung is still feeling the effects of his earlier fight. Soo-young looks off to the side. One of the men questions Soo-young's actions. Did you really have to do it, Your Highness? Your act shocked everyone at the military training command. Soo-young explains his reasoning. With this, the voices blaming Hong Yun-sung will likely diminish for the time being. This may also serve as an opportunity for him to come to his senses. And I didn't want to draw public attention here either. The man suggests that a verbal punishment would have been sufficient. It would have been better if you only gave him a verbal punishment, don't you think? Soo-young's companion warns him that Hong Yun-sung has a strong sense of pride, and this might have the opposite effect. He adds that other instructors won't go to that extent either. Soo-young believes that living in the military training command, Hong Yun-sung will definitely come to an understanding, even if it's hard to change someone's personality in just 7 months. One of the men suddenly questions what Soo-young is talking about. Hong Yun-sung, covered in blood, states that he doesn't remember when that conversation happened, and that he has shaken off those feelings long ago. Hong Yun-sung smirks. Far off in the distance, a group of people call out for "Hey, Officer Hong San, and Officer Yangi." A man in a straw hat looks up in shock. "Officers," he shouts. He barks out orders. "Pack your stuff without delay. If the ordinary soldiers encounter heavy snow, they'll all be goners. Hurry up." Soo-young explains the urgency of their situation. Considering the height of Baktobong, the snow must already be piled up to the waist. Even if we depart now, he grits his teeth, their vain deaths will be entirely my responsibility. I can't just sit idly by like this. He wastes no time. Soo-young mounts his horse, determined to rescue the soldiers. Quickly gather those among the horsemen who are agile and accustomed to living in the mountains. We must be able to return here carrying 30 people. Soo-young's booming voice echoes, demanding they open the gates. The gates swing open, revealing Soo-young on horseback, ready to ride out into the harsh winter landscape. Soldiers stare in disbelief at the sight of Soo-young. Huh! The men are shocked to see their prince. You! The soldiers immediately snap to attention, offering a crisp salute, as Soo-young rides through the gate. One soldier, still reeling from the shock of Soo-young's sudden appearance, wonders aloud, "How did you?" One of the soldiers reports, "We left traces and flags as you instructed." He pauses, glancing down at something behind him. And, the soldier continues, explaining the delay. "During our descent from the summit, a mountain tiger was lurking around. We had no choice but to capture it." Bows slightly, apologizing. "That led to a slight delay in our schedule, for which we apologize." Soo-young stares at the massive tiger carcass. "Huh, you really caught a mountain tiger." Soo-young acknowledges the difficulty of such a feat even with 30 soldiers. It wouldn't have been easy. One of the men objects to Soo-young's praise. "Excuse me, this tiger was captured by officers Hong San and Hong Yun-sung, just the two of them." The officer explains further. "We were lucky because the tiger wasn't in good condition. Officer Hong San made it possible by pushing the beast back with a shield." Another soldier expresses his disbelief. "Are you saying it was really just you two who caught it?" Man continues, marveling at their accomplishment. "Even given the mountain tiger's condition, aren't they still only 2 rookies? They're truly crazy talents." That day, for their feat of capturing a tiger, Jing Ok elevated them to commander rank. It was an exceptional case where soldiers from the military training command were rapidly promoted. Someone scoffs at the idea of them tracking the tiger for days. "Don't make me laugh. Did you really roam around Battleborn for 3 days as if making yourselves at home? I'd rather believe in flying pigs." One of the men scoffs, accusing them of deception. "It seems what you're skilled at is deceiving others. Dealing with a mountain tiger? Just the two of you." He continues to mock their accomplishment. "I could also bring back a beast that starved to death all winter, claiming it was hunted." Hong San's face is shadowed as he identifies himself. "I'm Hong San, trained with a round shield at the military training command." The one-eyed man shivers, noticing the change in atmosphere. "It's good that everyone has been lively since the morning." "What? Are my feet getting cold now? Why is he causing a commotion with that lowered voice?" Soo-young ignores the doubters and announces his intentions. "I'll start the training now. Don't worry, it won't be difficult." Another man continues to accuse Hong San of lying. "Be honest. You returned after killing time at the guard post, didn't you? And that mountain tiger was caught without any effort, right?" One of the men continues to question Hong San's story. "That's what I'm saying. What's so special about the military training command to catch a mountain tiger so easily? I think we're right, judging by his face." Suddenly, Soo-young grabs the man's wrist. Man is caught off guard. "What are you doing?" Soo-young flexes, revealing the deep wound on his abdomen. "I got wounded while catching the beast. Do you still want to tease me? Despite being trained to the extreme, it injured me like this." Soo-young stares intensely. "Had it been any deeper, my innards would have popped out." The hecklers visibly recoil, realizing they've gone too far. Soo-young continued his story, adding, "Well, of course, that beast also paid a hefty price. I took his eye." "What?" The men stared in disbelief as Soo-young described his battle with the tiger. "And on the way down, I chewed on his eyeball as a snack." "Eyeball?" Soo-young grinned, showing off his gains. "Believe me, that was a real delicacy in the world. Too bad you guys don't know its taste." Man with the eye patch recoiled in disgust. "You're crazy!" Soo-young was done with the talking. "Alright, enough talking. Go bring your sticks." The man with the eye patch questioned, "Hey, will you beat us up to make us listen to you?" Soo-young smirked. "Well, are you curious to know?" Soo-young declared that he would show them just how weak they were. "From now on, I'll show you directly how weak you all are. Come forward one by one and hit my round shield." He sweetened the deal, promising a reward for anyone who could make him budge. "If I drop the shield or fall backward, I'll give each one of you 5 mal of rice." The man with the eye patch and his companion looked at each other, considering the offer. The man gripped his stick tightly, deciding that free rice was too good to pass up. "Alright, I don't see a reason to refuse free rice." He charged forward, swinging his weapon with a yell. "I'm going to eat well, dear officer." The stick connected with the shield, resulting in a cloud of dust and a cartoonish figure flying through the air. A few hours later, the two men lay groaning on the ground, wooden clubs scattered around them. Hong San grinned, still holding the shield. "We apologize. We didn't know Officer Hong was so strong. Are you ready to go along with my training now?" The eye-patch-wearing man looked up in dismay. "You mean right now? On our first day, let's drink a cup of hot." Soo-young interrupted him, announcing the next exercise. The 8th posture of point gymnastics. The screen flashed with the name of the new exercise. Prepare for the lying leg twist. The cold attitude toward newbies suffered a complete setback against the military training command's teaching method. Meanwhile, in the capital of Hanyang, Grand Prince Ampyeong, who went to the Ming dynasty, returned. Thanks to Joseon offering the infantry hand cannon, a significant reduction in the annual tribute to 2,000 horses was achieved during this visit. How amazing! Yeong was walking down the street when he heard someone call out to him. "Hey, is that you, Yeong?" Elder brother. Young's elder brother approached him. Your shape seems better than before. Was it a nice trip? Young smiled. It was, elder brother. I had discussions with the descendants of Confucius about the study of conducting oneself and preparing the body. His brother replied, oh really? Young explained that their thoughts had been influenced in terms of respecting parents. He then offered a gift. Young's elder brother examined the gift. Isn't this a depiction of Longmen Grottoes? Young confirmed it was and that it represented his elder brother. He told him to stop by Luoyang if he ever revisited the Ming Empire, because he made a new one. Young recalled how those bastards had filled his beautiful muscles with fat, and he still felt super angry just thinking about that moment. How could he remain indifferent when it came to his duty as a younger sibling? Young's elder brother sighed. He expressed his gratitude, saying that Young was the only one who thought of his muscles. He promised he would definitely stop by Luoyang. Suddenly an urgent message arrived. Sir, someone has arrived at the royal palace. Suyang, mid-workout, paused, a dumbbell in each hand. Who's paid a visit? He looked surprised. One of the men looked at Suyang, concern etched on his face. Didn't His Majesty the King say he would go to a hot spring with His Highness the Crown Prince? That's correct. The man wondered why someone was here. A small child stood nearby, looking distraught. Has His Excellency the grandson come here? Suyang was asked about his trip to Ming. Okay, so you're curious about my trip to Ming? Yes. The child asked if ships cross mountains in Ming, but Suyang corrected him. Is it true that ships cross mountains in Ming? No, they don't cross the mountains but follow the river between them. The child's eyes sparkled with curiosity. How was something like this made? I'm really curious. Suyang explained the origins of the Grand Canal. The initial Grand Canal was originally created by Emperor Yang of Sui. The child listened intently as Suyang continued. To confluence the Yellow River and the Yangtze River, he exploited his subjects cruelly. Suyang finished his explanation, painting a grim picture of the canal's construction, to the point where a lot of people broke their limbs just to avoid forced drudgery. Your Excellency the grandson, scholar of the Hall of Worthies, Li Ha-jip, announced, it's time for the evening study, so please hurry and get ready. Suyang stood before the child and the scholar. The scholar's face was tense, a bead of sweat trickling down his cheek. The child looked devastated. Oh dear. Suyang grinned, thinking, did you say the evening study? I wonder if I could teach him a little. The scholar relented. All right. Just for an hour. He sighed in relief. Sure, thanks. Suyang declared he would be right back with something, as the child called out, ah, uncle. The scholar sighed, reminding the child to mind his dignity. Suyang returned, holding a badminton racket and shuttlecock. So, this is called badminton. The child on the court looked up at Suyang, who explained, do you know that His Highness the Crown Prince practices conducting oneself and preparing the body to refine both body and mind? He added, yes. The child responded, conducting oneself and preparing the body should be done after celebrating one's coming-of-age ceremony when the bones have become firm. It's not right for young children to exert too much force, so I developed a new exercise. Suyang grinned, ready to demonstrate his new form of learning. It's also a form of learning, right? Suyang put all his weight behind the swing. The shuttlecock rockets towards its target. The child's eyes widened as the shuttlecock pierced through the paper window. Child cried out, I don't think I can do this, uncle. Suyang grimaced, realizing his error. Oops. He thought to himself that after practicing the test version of badminton with Mr. Ma, he had put too much strength into his swing. Suyang cleared his throat, trying to recover from his previous blunder. Just look at your clumsy uncle. Let's try again. He wound up for another shot. Here we go! The shuttlecock flew towards the child. Suyang watched with a smile. Child watched the shuttlecock soar. So cool. Even though it seems like attached feathers won't let it fly away, this thing is quite fast. Nearby, the man in the black hat watched with a stern expression. Suyang continued teaching badminton to the child, but the man in the black hat sighed. What kind of teaching are you replacing the evening study with? He looked thoughtful. After returning from the hot springs, elder brother will surely want to verify the progress in Manhwa learning. Although I understand the mind of this scholar, who must produce actual results, yet, Suyang responded to the man, holding up his badminton racket. Learning through the body is also learning. If one builds their body with badminton, it will be helpful for future conducting oneself and preparing the body. The man in the black hat gave Suyang a sidelong glance. What is it, if not learning? After a moment, he seemed to concede. Yes, I understand. Suyang turned back to the child. Hongwai, try to mimic my movements. The child nodded enthusiastically. Yes, uncle. Suyang smiled, explaining that skipping the basics is like trying to understand advanced scripture without elementary learning. The child peeked out from behind the wall, and the king asked if the young prince would like to try it as well. The child responded, asking if his father was serious. Shuttlecock flew through the air. The young prince took a swing. Suyang also took a swing. The king announced the scores, revealing that the grandson scored 9 points, and Prince Dawan scored 11. The attendant suggested, Your Excellency the grandson, How about we stop for today and go inside? The young prince's face appeared, suggesting Suyang try badminton himself, but the attendant refused. Why don't you try badminton yourself? Absolutely not. I'm here just to serve His Excellency the grandson. Oh, come on, just once. The young prince insisted, grabbing Suyang's arm. The attendant was shocked. What are you doing? The attendant scolded Suyang, his face contorted with disapproval. Your Highness the Grand Prince, even you shouldn't exceed your authority. His Highness the Crown Prince will also be greatly disappointed that the grandson skipped the evening study. After a while, Your Excellency the grandson, Suyang called out, a touch of sweat glistening on his brow. Please move your feet more diligently, all right? The young prince suggested it was time to return to the palace. Suyang agreed, noting the young prince's exhaustion. I think now's the time to go back to the palace. That's right, he seems exhausted, so it's better to continue tomorrow. My dear young prince, go have your dinner. Suyang suggested that his wife should also try exercising with badminton, stating it's good for everyone, including women, but conceded it was getting late and they should have dinner. After a while, Suyang declared he'd hit the line, claiming a point for himself and stating he saw it clearly. Suyang, with a touch of awkwardness, told his wife that they may now go have dinner. However, the question remained, did the popularity of badminton end there? Meanwhile, it was mentioned that the young prince often visited his uncle's place. His companion pointed out that missing so much of the evening study meant he must have known his father would scold him severely. Suddenly, the young prince appeared, demanding more badminton. Father, it's evening study time. I haven't tested all the learning yet. Hurry up and hit. Another prince watched from afar, growing envious of the attention Suyang was receiving. You, damn you! When you develop a new exercise, you naturally should present it to me, your elder brother, first, out of our brotherly bond. It seemed that badminton was taking over the royal court. Has badminton become the only authorized drug in Joseon? And just like that, with the gentry at the center of the trend, badminton spread even among the common subjects. Thus, Joseon acquired a new traditional game. Back at the palace, the king was ready to put the cannons to good use. He addressed his minister. Excellent. I will ask Quan Yi from the Ministry of War. How many infantry hand cannons have been produced so far? Quan Yi bowed low. We have received 3,000 pieces of those from Joseon, while the current mold production amounts to 8,000 units. The king stroked his beard, considering the report. How are the molded infantry hand cannons? The performance is similar, but being much heavier, they cause fatigue in ordinary soldiers more quickly. He grinned, a solution already forming in his mind. If weight is an issue, let the sturdy soldiers carry them. The king nodded, pleased with his own genius. Ah, that's right. When subjugating the northern Yuan, use the infantry hand cannons, the king declared. I'll follow the imperial order to produce far more of them. What? Quan Yi looked up, startled. Your Majesty, did you say subjugate? The king confirmed, I did. His face hardened with resolve. I will take this opportunity to wipe out those infinitely arrogant northern Yuan bastards. Meanwhile, Suyang's influence was being felt in unexpected places, starting with the military supplies department. The king addressed the department head. So, after several failures, you've finally managed to improve the infantry hand cannon? The official bowed deeply. Yes, Your Majesty. He continued, it's all thanks to His Highness the Grand Prince. Without his inventions, I wouldn't have been able to make it. Suyang looked surprised. My inventions? The official elaborated. Do you remember when the axis and the steps device I was using recently bent and had to be remade? He marveled at Suyang's impact. With that kind of strength, Suyang had an idea. I thought, why not peel the barrel as well? He demonstrated his idea with a burst of strength. Just like this, the apprentice inside the barrel peeling device was sent flying. Sparks flew as the blade spun, carving away the metal. Suyang asked, what do you think? This is the way to make infantry hand cannons in a short time. He explained the original method. At first, the apprentices rotated the blade to create a narrow hole using the strength of their forearms. However, no matter how hard they tried, the strength of their arms was limited, causing the blades to often go off course. Suyang elaborated, that's absolutely right. Continuously repeating the same motion is bound to gradually weaken the strength, isn't it? So, in compensation for leaving 1 hour earlier, we had them use the steps device. One of the officials looked skeptical. Were they swayed into exercising by the offer of leaving work early? Suyang's man confirmed that they were. Then, everyone was eager to use the steps device. Another official questioned, are you not using the methods of wrapping soft iron or two mutual wrapping that I taught you before? Suyang's man explained the problem. Yes, they couldn't withstand 100 shots and kept breaking, so we resorted to the narrow hole method. His Highness the Grand Prince Jimseong came. He came up with many ideas. Grand Prince Jimseong? That fellow is clever, but, Suyang continued, just judging by the military supplies department alone, we'll easily produce 2,000 infantry hand cannons annually. Does that mean infantry hand cannons made by rolling up steel plates will soon disappear? He confirmed, that's the plan. He elaborated on the cannon designs. While the cloud hand cannon offers superior range and power, it requires grooves to be carved. On the other hand, it's a precious item that must inevitably be made by rolling a steel plate. Soo-young explained further, since the infantry hand cannon has a low unit price and a good production rate, once the craftsman becomes skilled, we intend to spread this narrow hole method. The king tilted his head, listening intently. I see. But father, is there a reason you're paying so much attention to firearms like this? The king listened intently to Soo-young's explanation of firearm production. Earlier this year, an imperial rescript was issued from Ming. One of the men questioned, is it not the Jurchen people, but the Northern Yuan? King confirmed, those who call themselves Great Yuan? Yes. It is said that they have resolved to punish those who increasingly belittle the Great Ming. Another man asked, did they even demand reinforcements from our country for their military campaign? The king replied, correct. The king's advisor explained that the Ming dynasty had ordered 20,000 mounted soldiers and 80,000 regular ones to be stationed in Weiju, and strike the Northern Yuan from the rear. Soo-young observed that if 200,000 soldiers were stationed in Weiju, the country would be emptied out, since the term regular soldiers referred to a number excluding supporters. The king announced his decision to gather individuals knowledgeable about the frontier to exchange opinions, inviting Soo-young to join them. Soo-young accepted his father's invitation. He thought that the timing wasn't good. Another advisor exclaimed that 500,000 was clearly an exaggeration, questioning how even the Ming Empire could supply that many people. One of the advisors argued that ordering them to send 20,000 mounted soldiers was unreasonable, because even though they replaced tributary infantry hand cannons, there was a deficiency in war horses. He continued that sending 80,000 regular troops as infantry would require mobilizing all the soldiers except for those in the Samam area. The king seemed weary. Due to the turbulent state of affairs, he declared that he was appointing Right Minister Kim Jong-seo as the Frontier Affairs Minister. Right Minister Kim Jong-seo listened intently to the king's announcement. Kim Jong-seo responded that since the king had entrusted him with such an important role, he would work his fingers to the bone to fulfill it. With Kim Jong-seo appointed as the Frontier Affairs Minister, one of the advisors asks, how does the Frontier Affairs Minister view the situation in the north? The king receives an update. Recently, Yuan, Machang, and Yi have abolished the ruler, causing unrest in the surrounding areas. The advisor continues, looking at Yi Jing-ok's disciplinary action the other day, I heard there were no issues at that frontier. Report continues, Hamgyal province is just in good condition. The 4 counties area has fiercer barbarians, and half of them are thieves. The report singles out a specific threat. Especially unusual is the force of the barbarians from Li Manju's gang around the Pajeo River. Close up on the face of one of the barbarians, a sinister smile twisting his lips. The king considers the request from Ming. It's impossible for us to reject all of Ming's demands. So, how many troops can we send? One of the advisors responds to the king's query. Altogether, about 60,000 regular troops and supporters. However, dispatching such a large force poses the risk of the northern border collapsing. Soo-young grimaces at the thought. If the north collapses now, it'll suck. The barbarians' joint forces can reach up to 100,000. The advisor continues to paint a grim picture. If we send troops, and they exploit the opportunity to invade Oju. Suddenly, a crow caws in the night. The crow carries a bloodied message in its beak. The advisor's words hung heavy in the air. Pyongyang will turn into a wilderness. In that case, Soo-young stepped forward. Your Majesty, your humble son has an idea. King listened intently as Soo-young began to speak. The Ming Empire, Forbidden Palace, uncivilized Joseon suffered many losses from the Northern Yuan during the Goryeo dynasty. Soo-young continued, since the Ming Empire has declared that they will no longer tolerate the Northern Yuan, and intend to punish them, we will put all our efforts into supporting you. Soo-young's proposal hung in the air, and the king, adorned in golden robes, inquired, the number of troops they can send is 60,000. But how does the Ministry of War view this? The advisor, with his stern expression, replied, from Joseon's perspective, it is considered a full effort. The king pressed on, we can't nitpick the numbers. Keep reading. The advisor responded, yes, your majesty. Due to the activity of the barbarians, including Li Manju, there are precarious places. The advisor continued, therefore, we must suppress them and secure the rear to accompany the great emperor's personal expedition. The king, looking up, questioned, Li Manju? The advisor confirmed, he's the Jurchen chieftain who recently received the position. The king, from his throne, asked who? The advisor smiled faintly. Is it that Jurchen guy we sent off with some government posts before? The chieftain of the Uriankai tribe, right? He affirmed, that's right, your majesty. He was given the position of vice commissioner-in-chief. The king, reclining on his throne, was not pleased. He received an official position bestowed upon him, yet trades in robbery. Pitiful bastard. Tell them to get rid of him right away. A servant stepped forward, eager to offer his opinion. Please allow this servant Quan Yi to speak up to the emperor. Quan Yi, dressed in formal robes, explained the situation. Although it's a formality, that person received the position from Ming. The king listened intently as Quan Yi continued. If you have him subdued by Joseon, other Jurchen people may rise against Ming. Another advisor looked concerned, worried about the potential consequences. I'm worried it could lead to an internal confrontation. Wang Jin stepped in to counter the argument. Your servant Wang Jin apologizes for speaking up, but the Ministry of War is overly concerned. If other Jurchen people resist, Ming can simply claim ignorance. And one more thing. There's a reason to allow Joseon's subjugation. The king's advisor waited patiently, head bowed. The king turned his gaze to the advisor. What is it? The advisor explained that their support in the war against the Northern Yuan depends on the request to subjugate Li Manju. It would not only provide the opportunity to tidy up the troublesome North, but also to test the military training command soldiers and the newly developed infantry hand cannons in actual combat. King's advisor explained that they could test the utility of the infantry hand cannons in actual combat by pitting Joseon against Li Manju. It was about engaging in battle with the Northern Yuan people beforehand without their direct involvement. The king considered the advisor's words, while Suyang's face was shown in the reflection. Even after the Yongla Emperor subjugated the Northern Yuan, complete expulsion of nomads was impossible. Thus, the Yongla Emperor eventually permitted tributary trade with the Northern Yuan, and later, this form of trade came to be called horse markets. Ming bought up horses to diminish the Northern Yuan's power, while the latter reluctantly complied with horse markets due to the scarcity of daily necessities. And strange things began to happen at these horse markets. One man asked, "Didn't you buy a horse worse than this one for 40 silver niang last year?" The other replied, "Don't be ridiculous. Where did you ever get 40 silver niang for a single horse?" Someone offered, "I have some more left these days, so would you be kind enough to turn a blind eye to this?" Suyang's face contorted in fury, his voice booming. "Who do you, Tatar bastard, take me for? Daring to offer me a bribe?" The man's face twisted in confusion. "What? What's with this noxious attitude today after you used to gladly accept it?" His eyes widened in disbelief. Soldiers surrounding Suyang raised their weapons. "What are you doing? Don't move recklessly, or else we'll blow your head off." The man in the gray robe looked back at the soldiers nervously. "It's madness. If Izen Taisher finds out about this, he'll be furious." Suyang remained unfazed by the threats. "It can't be helped. You have to pay for the pots we brought, don't you?" The man in the gray robe sputtered. "I can't afford to live by giving away so much like this. The prices have gone up, don't you see?" He gestured at the pots. "The same goes for the price of iron, so we also have no choice. And think about what you scum have done." Meanwhile, Oirit's chief statesman Arlik spoke with an acquaintance. "I just heard from an acquainted military officer, Oirit's chief statesman Arlik. They say Joseon is taking a lot of iron as trade goods." The man with the scar scoffed. "A small country like Joseon wouldn't take enough to affect the market price." He paused, considering the implications. "We need to check what's going on." Elsewhere, at the Northern Yuan Izen Taisher's abode, a man lamented, "I'm ashamed to face you." The man in the black hat declared, "The Ming Empire unilaterally violated the customs of the horse market and persecuted us." Someone asked, "Because of Joseon?" The ruler slammed his fist on the armrest in anger. The ruler of the Northern Yuan Izen Taisher shouted, "What kind of nonsense is it to use the excuse of Joseon, the successor of Goryeo, which was sucking up to us from below?" A man with a shaved head pleaded, "Please calm down, Taisher." Relented, "All right, I suppose we should send an envoy to Joseon." The man in the black hat continued his train of thought. "In case they kill or force out our messenger, it will seem like a scheme with Ming." He continued, "But hospitable treatment, on the contrary, will be a sign of their estranged relationship." A few days later, in Hanyang, Joseon, an envoy from the Northern Yuan declared, "Our Orient Northern Yuan is the successor of the former Great Yuan, and Joseon has also established itself as the successor of Goryeo." He continued reading from the scroll, "Since our former countries made a marital pact, why not make a new brotherly one?" Someone muttered in disbelief. "What?" Suyang's face twisted in disbelief at the end of his words. A new brotherly pact? It hadn't even been a century since the Yuan dynasty was driven out of the Korean peninsula. Every year, hundreds of princesses were taken away, and thousands of subjects were enslaved. Forced conscription led to countless deaths in distant foreign lands. Was turning the entire country into such a slave-like state what they meant by brotherly? The court officials exchanged uneasy glances, wondering just how far this brotherly love would extend. The envoy explained that the Ming Empire had been reducing trade and attempting to cut back on essential iron items, leading their subjects to starve and eat light meals from leather pots. In short, they wanted to establish a new trade route with Joseon. The man with the gray beard seethed with rage. "I should tear his dirty mouth apart right now. My 4 daughters were dragged away by those bastards and became lonely souls." He wanted to beat that trash to death and calm his resentment. Suyang urged him to stay composed, reminding him that recklessly killing the envoy would only bring trouble. "King, from his throne, considered the situation. His Majesty likely has his own considerations as well, so let's just see. The king declared, "Let them have 1,000 rolls of cotton and 50 iron pots." The grey-bearded man was aghast. "Don't do it, your Majesty. Please don't give those wicked Tatars anything." The envoy smiled slyly. "Your Majesty, to think Joseon is presenting us with such valuable gifts. Tai sure will be pleased." The envoy's smug expression seemed to confirm Suyang's suspicions. Suyang addressed the king. "Your Majesty, could it be that the reason you gave gifts to those people is as your humble son guesses?" The king confirmed his suspicions. "If I hadn't, they would have easily discovered our cooperation with Ming." Suyang realized the implications. "They came to probe us, then." Suyang grimaced, knowing the reprieve was temporary. "We bought some time, but soon they'll get to the bottom of it anyway." Suyang knew that to prevent future problems, they needed to deal with Li Manju swiftly. "Before it happens, we must expedite the subjugation of Li Manju." Meanwhile, the scene shifts to north of Joseon, Kangi. A soldier remarks, "It's been 13 years, a truly long time no see, hasn't it? I'm also old now." The man he is speaking to is Minister of the Military Affairs Kim Hyo-sung, who replies, hopefully, "This will be my last time going out into the field." The soldier continues, "I heard that Wonmang added common soldiers from the so-called Military Training Command." Magistrate of the Privy Council Yi Jing-suk responds, "When dealing with barbarians, we rely on the cavalry, right? It's beyond the strength of the infantry." The soldier remarks that mounted troops are best in less rough terrain. He adds that those passing through the 4 counties might appear like beggars. Map. The man in the helmet thinks it's unusual to finish one campaign and immediately embark on another. Another soldier calls someone a naughty noble. Someone asks why he is making that face since it's been a while since he has seen his younger brother, and if they are still not getting along. He replies that he just has no affection for a narrow-minded brat. The man on horseback is introduced as Wonbang, who even after traveling a long distance and defeating bandits, still exudes strong military power. The battle plans are being finalized. The decision is made. We'll move troops on the first day of the 6th month in the lunar calendar. The man with the beard speaks with conviction. Despite the slaughter of thousands of barbarians, should Li Manju escape alive, it will only fuel his morale, enticing more barbarians. Suyang proposes a strategy. In that case, why not split our forces into right and left and surround them simultaneously? The right troops temporarily stay in Shenyang and send the vanguard north first. The man on the right adds, the left ones march northward from Kangi and strike east of where Li Manju is staying. We need to set a date for the encirclement from both sides. Our coordination is crucial. The bearded man explains, as we heard from the barbarian chieftain who decided to cooperate in this maneuver, Li Manju's gang has already crossed the Pajeo River and is hiding deep to the east of Kaiyuan. The bearded man emphasizes the importance of a swift victory. If we can't subjugate them at once, they'll hide even deeper. He continues, concerned about the logistics of the operation. Eventually, it may be impossible to find them. I'm fine with the right troops, but the left, can they travel 600 li on mountain roads? Suyang steps forward with a proposition. I have a request. Please remove 400 infantrymen and 600 supporters from the left troops. The man with the topknot questions Suyang's request. What's that for? We need enough supporters to be able to fight in war. I have separately selected reliable individuals. Suyang assures him of their capabilities. They have already experienced and checked high-altitude regions many times. The man with the topknot still seems unsure. Can they really meet the date? There's no doubt. But, Suyang's thoughts raced ahead. If we arrive first. He wondered further, can we take immediate action? The man with the topknot peered intently, weighing the risks and benefits of Suyang's proposal. Central Flank Commander Kim Hyo-sung leads a force of 8,000 men, along with 3,600 auxiliaries. Meanwhile, Right Flank Commander Yi Jing-suk commands a cavalry unit with a strength of 5,000 men and 2,500 auxiliaries. Finally, Left Flank Commander Yi Jing-ok leads an infantry unit consisting of 4,000 men and 1,400 auxiliaries. On June 1st of the lunar calendar, 3 armies set out to subjugate Li Manju. It's reported that Joseon's soldiers have set out from Weiju. One of the men asks, set out? Does that mean they've crossed the river? The other confirms, that's correct. The man in the fur-lined coat reports, we heard the news 4 days ago, so by now, they've probably advanced quite a bit. The scarred man grits his teeth, listening intently. The report continues, 1 cavalry unit is heading towards Shenyang, another is departing from Weiju, while the soldiers are marching northward from Joseon's Kangi area. The news hits like a punch to the gut. What? The scarred man's expression darkens. Despite how many times we've killed and plundered those Joseon bastards, shoot, never before have they moved a unit on such a large scale. He seems to be deep in thought. The man in the yellow tunic hears some terrible news. It seems the Ming dynasty has abandoned us. He is met with a shocked response. Pardon? The man listening to the report is clearly shaken. Then, shouldn't we flee immediately? The man in the yellow tunic explodes in anger. And what face will we have left by doing so? If word gets out that we fled from a small fry like Josian, even our already unsubstantial position will be lost. He regains his composure, a sinister plan forming in his mind. Even if we flee, we must fake holding out for a short while. Before the Josian army finds me, I need to absorb the scattered Jurchen people. He believes that he can turn things around. After that, even one success in battle, he is confident that he can regain his power. Only one successful halt of the Josian army can build up my military power. The man panics, his voice rising in desperation. So what should we do? Staying like this will only lead to us being surrounded. His superior barks back, gesturing towards the landscape. You moron! What do you see before you? From Kangi to here, it's all rugged mountain valleys. Subordinate is quickly reassured. Sending troops that way? We don't need to worry about those infantry idiots. He marvels at his chief's insight. That's our chief. The chief continues his strategy session. Now, our concern shouldn't be the freaks climbing the mountains from Kangi, but the cavalry unit. Yes, chief. Meanwhile, the Josian soldiers march onward. One of the soldiers, sporting an eye patch, expresses his frustration. Li Manju, that son of a bitch, has us trekking through these mountains for 8 days straight. I'll cut him into 256 pieces. The soldier with the eye patch declares, 256, grins maniacally. The arithmetic you taught me last time was fascinating. I'll split him in half 8 times. His companion smiles, seemingly pleased by this display of dedication. Seeing your dedication to arithmetic makes me happy. The eye patch wearing soldier continues his train of thought. But rather than splitting that bastard into 256 pieces, his expression twists into a horrifying grimace. I'd prefer to grind him in a millstone and taste his blood. He's a pure devil. Suddenly, a shout rings out, cutting through the air. It's an enemy raid. A desperate cry rings out as mounted barbarians charge down from the northern ridge. 300 mounted barbarians are charging down from the northern ridge. Take cover. Prepare for the battle, everyone. In amongst the tall grass, Josian soldiers lay in wait. The soldier with the eye patch smirks, confident in their strategy. They will never know how many of us are here, conveniently coming down the ridge, making themselves perfect targets. Suyang shouts an order. Don't kill them all. We need captives. The order is given, and the soldiers respond in unison. Fire at will. The hidden hand cannons unleash a volley of fire, catching the charging barbarians completely by surprise. These Josian dicks had hand cannons hidden. Scatter and roll back. Mounted barbarians continue their charge, unaware of the danger that awaits them. One of the Josian soldiers shouts, Fools, our hand cannons can annihilate you from 300 bow away. We've come to our mortal enemy, Li Manju, so if you guide us, there won't be any charges. The barbarian leader scoffs. What a load of bullshit. Chop off the heads of everyone in the Josian army. Another barbarian rider laughs. Haha, hand cannons that have a range of 300 bow. Don't make me laugh my socks off. The first barbarian leader starts to shout, I'll chop off all of your he. Suddenly, his eyes widen in shock. What's this? The barbarian leader's mind races, utterly floored by the sheer audacity of Suyang's plan. Insane. He quickly changes his tune. I will guide you loyally. The scarred barbarian grins, relieved to be spared. It worked out well. We have no reason to rob those who are not the mortal enemy. Li Manju lays out the options. So, traveling along the main road takes 3 days, while it's 4 for the mountainous route? Exactly. However, since the mortal enemy Li Manju is also vigilant, marching along the main road would immediately expose you. Suyang considers the information. Swift soldiers can traverse the mountainous route within 2 days. Gather the fast-footed ones. The barbarian warns him. That path isn't easy though. We only take it when pressed for time ourselves. Suyang is confident in his battle plan. Even so, to the incomparably brave Josian troops, it's going to be child's play. Haha, he urges his men forward. Good, just 2 more days along the mountainous route, and we'll reach Li Manju's base. Speed up, the soldiers respond with a resounding cheer. As boss commands, they're all Josian people. Meanwhile, on Yi Jingsuk's right flank, the journey is proving treacherous. The horses struggle through the muddy terrain. One of the soldiers laments their situation. Another horse has broken its leg. As expected, the army mustn't be moved during this period. Suyang considers the difficult terrain. There's no need to rush excessively. Even trying to escape, wouldn't Li Manju similarly flounder in the mire? He clicks his tongue, noting the muddy conditions. The situation at the left flank may not be any better than ours. TSK, then why go through unnecessary hardships, brother? Suyang's expression hardens. He scoffs at the situation. That's not stupid perseverance. It's pure foolishness. 2 days later, the scene shifts to the southern mountains of Shifen. Suyang addresses his troops. You've all followed me very well. Isn't it tough? I'm dying. The soldiers look around, clearly confused. Suyang addresses the troops. Since the schedule has been prolonged, I'll provide each of you with 5 mal of rice. Don't worry. One of the soldiers expresses his gratitude. One soldier asks, but what should we do now? His companion responds, first, wait until the right flank arrives. One of the soldiers panics. The guard isn't usually strict, so those bastards might not notice us for a while. We have a big problem. The soldier shouts, the barbarian we brought along as a guide has gone missing. Suddenly, the barbarian grins, revealing his treachery. What? You fell for my perfect acting, didn't you? The treacherous guide has clearly rushed to Li Manju, making it too dangerous to stay still. Suyang realizes they have no other choice. He draws his sword. Suyang commands his troops to get ready to attack. Suyang grimly declares, so, we have no other choice. He draws his sword, the polished steel glinting in the sunlight. Sword in hand, Suyang commands everyone, prepare to attack. The army moves out, traversing the snowy mountain terrain. The scarred commander barks orders, feed the horses until they're full, and pack your stuff so you're ready to leave at a moment's notice. Another soldier confirms, it's a pity, but the sorghum and barley have to be dumped. He receives an affirmative response. Yes, Chief. Those Josian assholes are on the mountain. Hey, you scared me. Another man, with a shaved head and wearing a fur-lined coat, demands, what are you talking about? How could their cavalry bastards get up to that high summit? Well, the scarred man repeats the information. It's Josian bastards. What? Meanwhile, Suyang's army advances through the snowy mountain pass. The soldiers march forward, their faces grim and determined. The scarred man is shocked to see the approaching Josian army. How the hell? He shouts orders to his men. Shit, mount your horses, y'all. Yes. The scarred man observes the approaching army. They must be tired after the climb. Move. But their formation seems a bit unusual. He wonders about their strategy. Why have they put an extra line of soldiers behind? He speculates. They are probably archers. Josian bows are weak against rain, and it seems the glue has softened during their march. He realizes the danger a moment too late. So, they're standing in the back as a reser. Cannons roared, and the barbarian troops were blown away. That's oof. The scarred man surveyed the scene, his eyes widening in disbelief. Gosh, were those not bows but real hand cannons? His face contorted in a mixture of shock and frustration. A Josian soldier reloaded his cannon with practiced efficiency. Again. Load the cannons. Load. The order to fire echoed across the battlefield. Now, scarred man knew they were in deep trouble if they didn't act fast. It takes time to reload their cannons. If we don't charge now, those damn cannons will fire again. The barbarian guide's betrayal had led them right into a trap. The bastards are approaching. Infantry hand cannoneers, forward. Suyang's commander roared the order. Fire! The cannons unleashed a devastating volley of fire. The barbarian cavalry charged headlong into the line of fire. The result was a scene of utter carnage. The scarred man watched the scene unfold, his face a mask of disbelief. No way. The enemy commander urged his troops not to panic, declaring that the distance had narrowed significantly. He ordered them to grab anything that could block the hand cannons, whether shields or wooden boards, and close in on those bastards. The barbarian cavalry began to charge. Chief, are we really charging? I sent some troops to the west just a bit earlier. The commander grinned, confident in his strategy. When returning, they'll break through that damn formation from the flank. As expected, you've thought of everything. He knew their unit was all infantry, and one cavalryman could take on 10 infantry. He commanded them to wipe them all out, sending the horses ahead together, as the ones on horseback would be hit by the hand cannons. Suyang recognized the barbarian commander's error and seized the moment. Bad move, asshole. Infantry hand cannoneers, stick tightly to the formation, and prepare for volley fire. The first row of cannoneers raised their weapons in unison. First row, volley. The volley tore through the charging barbarian cavalry, leaving a trail of blood and chaos in its wake. The second row stepped forward, ready to unleash another devastating barrage. Second row, volley. Despite the heavy losses, the remaining barbarian soldiers pressed on, shields raised against the continuing fire. Hang in there. Now, they're before us. Hand cannoneers braced themselves, preparing for close quarters combat. From here on, it's our battlefield. The barbarian soldier charged forward, screaming, "Go to hell!" But a spear found its mark, piercing through his armor. The spear thrust forward with deadly force. The barbarian warrior cried out as the spear pierced through him. Two Josian soldiers high-fived each other, celebrating their victory. Great job. One man down. Let's do this next time too. The foot of a soldier stepped onto the snow-covered ground. What is? Suddenly, a soldier spotted the incoming threat. Over there, the officer shouted, the barbarian cavalry has been flanking us. Infantry, hand cannoneers. Yes. One soldier questioned the plan. Wait, they are supposed to fire at the other bastards, right? I'll take care of them. A mounted barbarian mocked the Josian forces. Haha, blocking a dashing horse with just one shield? He charged forward, confident in his attack. Stop me if you can. The Josian soldier braced for impact, his steely gaze unwavering. The charging barbarian horseman crashes into the Josian shield wall. Mounted barbarian is thrown from his horse. Shit, damn you! The barbarian leader is furious. How dare you, Josian bastards, deceive! The barbarian falls, defeated. He lies bleeding out on the snow-covered ground. An officer gives the order. Soldiers carrying cloud hand cannons, leave the horses and aim for the men. Infantry hand cannoneers, you may fire at will. The Josian soldiers surveyed the battlefield. By the way, where's that damn Li Manju? He didn't escape, did he? Another soldier, his face grim, responded, Hey, you've seen his face. Is Li Manju here? No, he isn't. A master of fleeing like him must have already gotten out of here. The horses, exhausted, struggled to move through the rough terrain. Have these sickly horses lost their strength so soon? We have no choice but to walk from here on. One of the men shouted at an approaching tribesman, Chief, what about the tribesmen? The chief snapped back, Assess the situation with your eyes before speaking, you moron. Suyang listened intently. Suyang declared, Generally, it's the leader of foot soldiers who must take responsibility for the consequences of their actions. The bald tribesman, his face contorted with fury, roared, You bastard. But Suyang was unmoved. Don't beg for your life. Suyang continued, his voice steady and resolute. Or if you are going to do it for your soldiers who are dying. The soldiers urged each other forward through the carnage. Move, move! One of the armored soldiers exclaimed. At this rate, we may be ambushed again. If the left flank gets to Li Manju first, my dignity will be nowhere near fine. From behind the trees, a voice questioned, Is that even possible? The soldiers on horseback turned to face the newcomer. Who the hell are you? Suyang's face appeared, a look of slight surprise on his face. Oh, the soldier recognized him. Aren't you the right flank commander? The soldiers eyed the newcomers warily. You guys, are you from the Josian army? From the left flank, to be exact. We're messengers on our way to the right flank. The armored soldier's eyes narrowed. Messengers? He stammered, realizing who they were. This is really. The soldier's eyes widened in disbelief. Really, Li Manju? Just then, the real Li Manju appeared, wiping his hands. What happened here? Have you arrived, elder brother? My apologies for not greeting you earlier. I was washing up. Li Manju smirked, revealing his strategy. Thanks to Li Manju sending troops to handle the right flank, the left flank got its chance. Suyang questioned the soldier, his tone laced with disbelief. So, while I wasted time dealing with at most 200 people, the infantry alone finished off Li Manju? The soldier stood firm, unfazed by Suyang's skepticism. Your contribution is truly remarkable. Where are the horses those bastards were using? Scene shifts to the aftermath of the battle, showing the fallen horses amidst the carnage. Since the left flank doesn't have cavalry, riding them is a pain in the bottom. Thus, we concentrated fire to kill them from the first seconds of the battle. The soldier's expression turned gleeful as he spoke of the spoils of war. For the surviving horses, yum. 2 soldiers are now feasting on horse meat around a campfire. The drink sucks, but damn, this meat got me hooked. Where else would we taste such precious horse meat? The armored soldier's face contorted with a sinister glee. Some were allocated as rations, with the rest given to the cooperative barbarians. Well, as a monk general, you can do as you please. What about the Jurchen captives? The soldier explained that most of the captives had been handed over to the hamlets that helped guide them, which caused Suyang to exclaim, What? Suyang's face contorted in rage as he roared, Isn't 100 captives enough? Listen, do you even realize the value of them, and their horses? Another soldier, also in armor, approached. Is there a problem, elder brother? The camera zooms in on the armored soldier's teeth, clenched in what seems to be suppressed anger. Suyang responded, trying to control his temper. No, not at all. How could there be? The armored soldier, through gritted teeth, said, It's only natural to distribute the merits under the monk general's single utterance. Thank heavens, I have a younger sibling with much to learn from. Even then, the right flank commander Yi Jing-suk displayed tact, admirable and praiseworthy. July, the Li Manju subjugation army returns. The left and right flanks swiftly advanced, executing their mortal enemy Li Manju, while the central flank, through the conquest of the barbarians across the region, spread the valor of the Josian army far and wide. The king declared, I confer the noble title of the Yin Sengen and bestow 80 rolls of silk upon Minister of Military Affairs Kim Hyo-son. The minister responded, Your royal grace is as vast as rivers and seas. I don't know where to hide my extreme delight. The king continued. Yi Jing-suk, magistrate of the Privy Council, led and annihilated Li Manju's forces, which was also a great contribution. In this regard, Yi Jing-suk will be promoted to second minister of the Privy Council. Senior second rank. Finally, the king announced, General Commander Yi Jing-ok traversed high mountains and rugged terrain, thereby striking Li Manju from behind and making the greatest contribution. The king declared that Yi Jing-ok's promotion will elevate him to the first junior rank Grand Chancellor, and he himself will soon assume a new position. One of the ministers responds with all, Your royal grace knows no bounds. Suyang looks on, impassive. The minister continues to shower the king with praise. Suyang watches the scene unfold, a slight smile playing on his lips. Outside the palace walls, the snow-capped mountains stand tall in the distance. The speaker reflects on the military training command soldiers' journey into Namhansen, recalling his initial concerns about their ability to handle fierce battles. When the military training command soldiers ventured into Namhansen, I was concerned about how they would handle fierce battles. However, now they have built up enough strength to be considered a powerful army. Suyang turns to the speaker, who addresses him respectfully. Your Highness the Grand Prince. The man explains that he's heard Suyang contributed to the training of ordinary soldiers in the military training command. I've heard that you contributed to the training of ordinary soldiers in the military training command. So, there's something I'd like to appeal. He pauses, gathering his courage. The man continues, suggesting that the armored soldier's inability to earn merits stems from a lack of proper training. It struck me that the reason our armored soldiers couldn't earn merits is due to a lack of proper training. Suyang's face contorts into a look of annoyance. No, this preamble. Suyang's eyes narrow as he realizes what the man is implying. Surely you're not telling me to train them too? The man explains how the cavalry is suffering, and the armored soldiers may soon be cut off from treatment. He makes a desperate request to Suyang. Suyang replies that he understands, since the tributary amount of warhorses offered to the Ming has decreased, more people may become armored soldiers. He muses that cavalry units have made their names in history, citing the dragoons, hussars, and chasseurs used in Europe. Suyang considers making a cavalry pistol or another suitable weapon. Meanwhile, in the Ming Dynasty Forbidden Palace, someone orders the disposal of a body, and another responds in agreement. Back in the Ming Dynasty, someone comments that Joseon has indeed accomplished something impressively challenging. Another responds, they surely have. An official report has also come up regarding the utility of infantry hand cannons. The report states, when deadly shot by them, even the brave barbarian cavalry was startled and scattered. 5 can severely injure one if they aim and shoot at the enemy from a distance of 60 bow. The first man adds that the distance is about 100 m, and the loud sound of infantry hand cannon startles the horses, which was an unexpected effect. He concludes that even if Tatar riders come in hordes, they can use the weapon. The second man reiterates that an official report has also come up regarding the utility of infantry hand cannons, and that they can make them resort to aggression first. First man finishes by saying that even if they don't react to their provocative acts, starvation will cause internal discord, and that is the opportunity they will grab to begin the conquest. Back in the Ming Dynasty, Yu Qian, a servant, makes a request to the emperor. Since infantry hand cannons have proven to be effective weapons in Joseon, ordinary soldiers should be proficiently trained before the conquest. The emperor, sitting on his throne, considers the proposal. However, if even one soldier of Ming is taken captive, they might turn the infantry hand cannons against us, don't you think? Another official interjects, agreeing with the emperor. No, your majesty. The words of the vice minister of war are indeed correct. In order to acclimate to the roar of hand cannons, all ordinary soldiers must fire 10 shots. The emperor wonders, what? 10 shots? Is it really enough? He suspects a conspiracy. That damn eunuch wouldn't possibly plan to conserve gunpowder and misappropriate the remaining expenses? Meanwhile, in northern Yuan, at Karakoram Izen Taisher's residence, someone declares, those Joseon bastards are going to die with their heads pounded into horse dung. They've fooled me. Back in northern Yuan, Izen Taisher is furious, pointing at the man before him. And you, do you have yours for decoration? What was my word? The subordinate shrinks back, terrified. Didn't I instruct you to go to Joseon, meet the king, and sound him out? He stammers, yes, you did. Izen Taisher continues his rant. Yet you just returned, so obsessed with some pots and cotton? The man replies, but during my visit, they didn't seem particularly close with Ming at all. Another man with a shaved head attempts to calm him down. Please calm down, Taisher. Izen Taisher sighs. He might die. What do you mean, Bayan? He draws his sword, the blade glinting ominously. When did I ever accidentally kill anyone? Izen Taisher turns to Arlek, promising to postpone his punishment based on his performance in the war. He warns Arlek that one more mistake will result in his blood staining the ground before the Joseon bastards, declaring he'll wash away his guilt with their blood. Izen Taisher comments that the king of Joseon seems to have some brains in his head. He notes that they've sided with the Ming and subdued Li Manju, realizing that they are now the target. He vows not to leave those filthy bastards alone and orders everyone to get ready. Izen Taisher announces his intention to see the Khan. He declares that they must join forces with the Golden Horde of Kublai. Izen Taisher's envoy has arrived at the Golden Horde, seeking an audience with the Khan. He asks if the Khan has received any other news. The Khan, lounging with his concubines, replies that he has received none at all. One of the Khan's men stands nearby, ready to deliver a report. The Khan says he'd like to see them wiping out those Ming bastards. The envoy replies that if the world operated solely on thoughts, the Ming emperor would have been torn apart 1,000 times. He adds that they don't even know the true nature of the metal rods the Ming bastards have been consistently using against them. Khan pauses, mid-bite, and asks what he means by metal rods. The envoy confirms that the Khan doesn't know, explaining that they'd been using strange weapons for several years. The envoy from Izen Taisher orders Arlek to draw what he witnessed. Arlek quickly sketches the weapon. The Khan asks if the soldiers carrying these weapons have a matchlock, or rather, straw rope to ignite the fire. One of his men confirms that they do, explaining that it's extended and attached to the iron on top of the weapon. He states that this must be the answer. The Khan slams his hand on the table, realizing that this must be a firearm. He recalls that this weapon was used to massacre the dregs of the Jin dynasty, the Jurchen tribe, and conquer every nation. Khan is astonished by the weapon Arlek sketched, stating he's never heard of a portable hand cannon before and that, according to the elders, a small iron bead exceeds a crossbow in terms of power. Power aside, he continues, those refined hand cannons fire with an explosive sound. He recalls that during the conquest of the Song dynasty, it was said to be as loud as thunder, frightening the horses to the point where they fell sideways. One of his men asks how such a small hand cannon could produce that sound. The Khan thinks aloud that while one person's voice may be weak, when thousands gather to shout, it shakes the plains, and asks what would happen to the horses if thousands of hand cannons were fired in unison. He tells them to imagine thunder striking right beside you. The Khan scoffs, suggesting, what about waiting for gale force winds or rainy weather? He continues, you must know why those bastards don't come to attack first. On windy or rainy days, they're determined to stay inside the fortress. One of his men proposes a solution. If the explosive sound startles the horses, couldn't we simply plug their ears? Then they wouldn't focus on commands and might get even more nervous. Suyang suddenly shouts, that damn explosive sound. I feel like I'm going to explode first. She looks around, confused by the sudden outburst. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts nearby, sending her flying backward. Suyang suddenly shouts, hey, bonehead, don't you know that putting wet charcoal in the brazier leads to an explosion? The Khan's eyes widen in surprise. Suyang realizes something. Right. Why didn't I think of that? He recalls the history books. The soldiers of Kublai Khan, intending to punish the Tran family, burst bamboo to drive away the surrounding mountain animals. The Khan looks puzzled. Bamboo? Is there a tree that explodes when put on fire? Suyang nods. That's what I'm talking about. Khan's face contorts with a sudden realization. He barks an order. Arlek, do whatever it takes to find bamboo at the next horse market. Arlek bows deeply. Your order is a law. The Khan turns to Suyang. Then, is it just a matter of attacking the Ming? Suyang shakes his head. No, Khan, while I face the Ming, please deal with Joseon. The narrator states, the number of active armored soldiers in the whole Hanyang area reaches 3,000. Of those soldiers, 1,000 serve 10 days a month and are called on duty, while 2,000 off duty don't, instead performing household chores or engaging in various businesses to make money. Suyang surveys the pitiful gathering of soldiers. Is this really all, even after gathering all the armored soldiers of the entire capital city? It seems there are just around 400 people. The official next to him shrinks under his gaze. Despite not convening all of them, a significant number left with excuses. Given the state of the armored soldiers, I'm concerned how the hell the country functions. The official bows deeply. I'm very sorry the armored soldiers have shown themselves in such a form. Another voice calls out in shock. Your Highness the Grand Prince? The soldier stammers in disbelief. Pardon? Do you mean me? Just a moment, Your Highness the Grand Prince. I'm not ready yet. The soldier shakily draws his weapon. He examines the blade with a critical eye. How ancient is this relic? Is it from the Three Kingdoms period? Have you brought your family heirloom? Based on my investigation, the blade must be at least 1.5 chiak long. Suyang is clearly unimpressed. Where did you get this knife from? That's, soldier squirms under his gaze. Actually, an elongated kitchen knife from home. A kitchen knife, gosh. He explains his predicament. I was pressed by the sudden general convening. The soldier grips his makeshift weapon, trembling. My ass. The general's face contorts in rage. Are you kidding me? Which bastard told you to bring these toys? His eyes burn with fury. I absolutely cannot tolerate this situation. I'll shave off the allowance of those who lack munitions and equipment. The general continues, his voice booming with intensity. Additionally, in agreement with Grand Prince Suyang here, I will rejuvenate your severely rotten minds and bodies. Those unable to keep up don't even hope to avoid quartering. One of the soldiers looks up, aghast. To that extent? The next day, the troops assemble at the white sand beach of the Yanghua Quay. The military minister, riding alongside Suyang, eyed the approaching figures with suspicion. Military minister, who are those barbarians? The military minister explained the situation. North tribes that were hostile to Li Manju have come to express their gratitude. His Majesty the King instructed us to show them our strength. Suyang watched the soldiers with a critical eye, unimpressed by their form. What can be gained by observing the training of inadequate armored soldiers? Is this the right way to hold a sword? It's been a while, so I'm not sure either. The military minister reassured him. Please don't worry. After all, some untrained barbarians like them can be easily slaughtered. The approaching group was led by a bald man with a piercing gaze. They would find even basic training highly threatening. Uriankai faction brigade commander Kungsan of the Odali tribe. Kungsan exchanged a knowing glance with the man beside him, a sinister smile spreading across his face. I knew that the king of Joseon would offer generous hospitality and gifts, but even showing the training of cavalry, don't worry. Unless Joseon loses its mind, is there any possibility they would invade us dwelling on the Liaodong? Kungsan, still mounted, couldn't hide his irritation. It's just a brag to warn us against plundering recklessly. Talking to those bastards makes my blood boil. Another man, riding alongside, commented on the display. By the way, the general who looks like a chief seems quite convincing. He pointed to the general. King Yi Songai, who founded Joseon, was known to be the greatest archer and a remarkable general himself. But doesn't that person resemble him? Suyang listened, his expression unreadable. Perhaps, well, let's wait and see, then we'll know. Suyang announced that Grand Prince Imyang would personally demonstrate the level they all must achieve in the future. Imyang, the fourth son of King Sejong and Queen Sohyan, grinned. I won't bring my horseback riding talent. He addressed the soldiers, mounted on their horses. Let's start with something easy. If you can't repeat even this, you're not qualified to be mounted armored soldiers. He prepared to show them how it was done. Now everyone, watch closely. With a shout of Hia, Imyang drew his bow and notched an arrow. He urged his horse forward, clearing a low wooden fence with the cry of hup. With practiced ease, Imyang drew back his bowstring, aiming at the target. The arrows flew, finding their mark with deadly precision. The arrows slammed into the target. Imyang addressed the soldiers, confident in his display. Alright, everyone should be able to follow, right? That's the most accurate demonstration. How's that easy? He cleared his throat, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Forget about any allowance if you fail even at this. The order was given. Then, proceed in order. However, one of the soldiers' face plants into the sand. Groans, gosh. Another soldier is knocked off his horse. Suyang looks on in disbelief. How could they be worse than me in my childhood? This won't do, will it? Suyang shouts, now, attention. Suyang addresses his troops, pointing out their weakness. At this moment, you may think yourselves weak. You were once tough, but isn't this the result of neglecting your training? He clenches his fist. Look, Suyang flexes his back muscles, which seem to glow with inner power. Look at this body. The soldiers can only stare in stunned silence. Suyang continues his motivational speech. Even with just half of its potential realized, you'll be unbeatable by anyone in the world. Elder brother, you should maintain your dignity in a place like this. The soldiers, now inspired by Suyang's physique, cheer him on. Woohoo! That's right. There's nothing impossible for the body of His Highness the Grand Prince Suyang. One of the soldiers declares that he'll give the training his all, adding that next to Suyang's body, the fellows from the military training command look as thin as straws. Another soldier agrees, stating that they're not a big deal. He pauses, thinking to himself. Meanwhile, under the cover of night, a fire crackles. Around the fire, a group of men discuss Suyang. One of them says the one who showed the demonstration on horseback has a rare talent, even for our tribe. If such a person, who reportedly is a son of the king of Joseon, becomes a general, it would be frightening. Another one agrees, adding, yeah, that body was really grand and magnificent. One of the men around the fire observes, this is serious, and I wouldn't be surprised if he could easily even pull the bow used by Yi Songai. The fire crackles as they consider the implications. He continues, do you remember Gabialco? The man elaborates, those ferocious guys led by Yi Songai. Many chieftains, including Mengtamu, became his blood brothers or subordinates and acted together. He furrows his brow. If soldiers like those in Gabialco arise in Joseon soon, they may once again exert their strength against us. There was clearly an intention behind showing us the training, too. Just then, one of the men notices someone approaching. Excuse me, we have a guest. Guest announces, I've come by order of the Khan. Keshig of the Northern Yuan Khan's bodyguard. The Uriankai brigade commander replies, to think that the Khan needs something from the lowly me. It's an honor, the Keshig scoffs. Brigade commander of the Uriankai is calling himself lowly? That's a good one. Anyway, the reason I'm here is, he declares, because we're soon going to strike Joseon. Bald commander is taken aback. Wait, I don't get it. By siding with the Ming dynasty, they betrayed their faith. But to teach them a lesson, we must first raise an army. The mustache man states, there are 40,000 soldiers. That's enough. Just add 5,000 of your troops. The Keshig of the Northern Yuan Khan's bodyguard continues, and since you have connections with Joseon, report everything happening there. Their army, any changes in the regime, and even defensive preparations along the way. Everything. The bald commander agrees. I will follow the Khan's order. Josian sent 20,000 troops to subdue Li Manju. He continues, however, due to a lack of internal stability, they didn't achieve proper results. The mustached man is confused, but the bald commander corrects himself. That's right. Josian had many stragglers because of the rush. He adds, we guided those we saw, which is why the king of Josian invited us. The Keshig asks, how did Josian capture Li Manju with such an army? Bald commander explains, caught by a fever at the worst time, he couldn't even escape. Li Manju toughed it out for 4 days in that condition. Quite a tenacious guy. A fever in the summer? Such dreadful luck. The bald commander scoffs at the suggestion of sending 5,000 troops. And as for the 5,000 troops you mentioned, it's impossible in our current situation. What? The mustached man retorts, suggesting an alternative. You could easily muster that number by bringing into the fold surrounding tribes. The bald commander admits that is not an option. You are not wrong, but there are issues related to my uncle. The mustached man presses. You mean Fanka? As I heard, he died recently, and couldn't you even absorb subordinates under his command? Mengtami's younger brother looks ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself. Believe me, I would like to rush at them right away, but the mustached man decides to change the assignment. Then I'll assign you the task of assisting and supplying our troops. Instead, don't even dream of receiving any trophies. Bald commander is clearly displeased with the current turn of events. How humiliating for a warrior! The bald commander's younger brother, feeling ashamed, decides to reveal all. Since I've decided to reveal everything, the Khan should also let us know the details. The younger brother asks a pointed question. Isn't this war a diversion? The mustached man grins, revealing his teeth. What a bright guy you are! Reveals the grand strategy. The 40,000 troops under Taisher's command and the 40,000 led by the Khan will launch simultaneous strikes on Josian and Ming. The mustached man turns away, confident in their victory. You can look forward to it. He rises, his face contorted with rage. Those bastards are trying to oppress us again. The bald commander's eyes widen with urgency. Prepare the horses. We need to go to Josian immediately. Inside the palace, another man speaks. Keshig from the northern Yuan paid us a visit not long ago. He continues, relaying the dire news. He's going to conquer Josian and is forcing us to help. According to him, they also plan to invade the Ming dynasty at the same time. The bald commander glares intensely. Totters told you about this, meaning you must have agreed to cooperate as well. I bowed my head to the northern Yuan to survive, so please forgive me, the man says. He continues, relaying the ultimatum, and refusal to comply, they said, would lead to Josian's complete extinction, similar to the Western Xias, let alone the once enjoyed status of the son-in-law nation. Damn them all.